Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Global Martial Soul. Start Awakening Deathwing. Chapter 21. On the other side, the train was running at high speed while Suyi and the others were chatting, and it left the suburbs of Hangzhou in less than 10 minutes. The scenery outside the window has also changed from a jungle of trees to a concrete city again. It's just that this city is extremely dilapidated, with no traces of human life. Roar, ah, roar, quote. Bursts of terrifying roars sounded in the ruins of the city, and passed into the train through the bulletproof windows. Into the wilderness area. Hearing the roar echoing in his ears, Suyi fixed his eyes and looked out of the window. Where they are now, before the beast appeared, it was a base city called Xingjia. After the beast appeared, the city quickly fell and became a paradise for the beast. Up to now, it has become a large wilderness area covering an area of up to 4,000 square kilometers. The number of beasts is also extremely large. Therefore, when Suyi turned his head and looked out the window, he could see a group of ferocious beasts walking among the ruins of the city. They are strong and tall. The roars from time to time, even with the filter of bulletproof windows, can feel the bloodthirsty meaning in them. Hiss, this is a beast. Zhang Yi gasped. Just listening to the roar, he felt a little trembling in his heart. He knows that this is a self-protection mechanism of human beings after they perceive danger. And this also shows that the current him does not have enough strength to fight against the beast. Subconsciously, Zhang Yi glanced to the side, only to find that Suyi had a calm face. And in those bright golden eyes, there was even a fanatical fighting spirit. As expected, a brother Su. Zhang Yi praised secretly, and then turned her head to look back. Like Suyi, and Ning Shuang didn't respond. Only Zhao Ruo, like him, had a nervous expression on his face. It's okay, there are people who have the same reaction as me. Zhang Yi breathed a sigh of relief. It would be too embarrassing if he was the only one among the four who felt nervous and scared. Outside the train, there were fierce beasts screaming one after another, but none of them dared to approach the train within 20 meters. After all, even if they have low intelligence, they also understand that the train's terrifying speed and the high-voltage electric arc lingering around it are not a joke. The train gradually went deep into the wilderness area. After watching the beasts in the ruins of the city outside for a while, Suyi didn't pay attention anymore. He thought to himself. System panel. Single quote. Host. Open black lens bracket Suyi close black lens bracket. Level. Extraordinary first order. Soul point. Open black lens bracket 0 close black lens bracket. Martial soul. Deathwing SSS level. Passive talent. Advanced fire element affinity, rage, dragon body, dragon might, prehistoric flame, forbidden. Active talents. Magma flame 1/1, lava burst, forbidden, cataclysm, forbidden. Soul skill. Extreme flame crazy knife, entry. When you enter the magic city, you should find some time to try to kill the beast. Seeing that his soul points were still at 0, Suyi couldn't help feeling a little helpless. Some time ago, he had been practicing soul skills and saber skills. Moreover, the wilderness area is far away from Hangzhou City, so I didn't try to hunt the beasts. Therefore, he hasn't had a chance to try the system's functions until now. Wow! Suddenly, the closed door at the front of the carriage opened, and a soldier with a saber on his back walked out from the cab. He walked up to Zheng Jun and said, "Commander, the train's detection system has detected that the track 2 kilometers ahead is broken, and the train's movement is hindered." Track broken. Zheng Jun frowned and ordered. "Notify the train conductor and ask him to stop the train within 30 meters of the breaking point. Engineers are also ready to start repairs as soon as the train stops. Also, let everyone know that everyone is on alert and ready to fight." Quote. The track of the maglev train is built in an area where fierce beasts rarely pass by. Generally speaking, it is difficult for the track to break in 3 months. Now that this happens, it can only be said that they are unlucky. Yes, the man in military uniform with the saber on his back gave a standard military salute, then turned around and walked into the cab. The track is actually broken, and it will take a lot of time to repair it. Yeah, when we arrived in Shanghai, it was almost 11 o'clock in the morning. Quote. With Kai Wei, a Tiangong-level soul warrior, even though the track is broken, she needs to stay in the wilderness for a while. But everyone was not too worried about their own safety, and Zhao Ruo and Zhang Yi were a little worried about the time to arrive in the capital. But Su Yi was secretly delighted when she heard the words. The train stops in the wilderness area, which means that he may have the opportunity to fight the beast and get soul points. Wait a while to see if there is a chance to make a shot. Single quote. Su Yi thought to himself. Although he is full of fighting spirit, he has no experience in fighting fierce beasts before. Therefore, if there is a fierce beast attack later, he will only make a move after confirming the level and strength of the fierce beast. Trouble, I wanted to take a good rest, but it seems that I can't. Kai Wei, who was seated in the front row, stretched and sat up straight. The original laziness disappeared in an instant, replaced by a dangerous and extremely oppressive feeling. Su Yi, and Ling Shuang, Zhao Ruo, Zhang Yi, after the train stops, you all stay on the train and are not allowed to take a step. Kai Wei turned her head to look at Su Yi and the others with an extremely serious expression. These 4 people were the main purpose of her trip. She will never allow any accidents to happen to anyone. Especially Su Yi, an SSS-level martial soul awakener, needs to be protected even more. Yes, Su Yi and the others all nodded. After confirming that the front track was broken, the speed of the train gradually slowed down. In the end, it slowly stopped at a place more than 20 meters away from the breaking point of the track. Excellent driving control. Su Yi, who saw the breaking point not far away through the window, couldn't help but marvel. The ability to accurately stop a train with a speed of up to 350 kilometers per hour within 20 meters of the breaking point is beyond the reach of ordinary people. That is, our train conductors are all veteran train conductors who have been in the industry for more than 10 years. Zheng Jun chuckled and waved his hand. The train has stopped, let's go. In the first carriage, besides Su Yi, there were more than a dozen soldiers. Unlike common soldiers holding firearms, these people hold a variety of weapons. Among them, several people are using swords. Judging from the intensity of their respective lingering soul powers, these people are almost all at the 7th or 8th level of extraordinary. Soul fighters of this level, even in the military area, are very top-notch. Laugh. The closed train door opened, Zheng Jun took the lead, and a group of people walked towards the breaking point of the track. But Su Yi and others stayed in the carriage. With Kai Wei present, Zheng Jun didn't worry about the safety of these students at all. If there are fierce beasts approaching later, you should learn more about their fighting methods. This will be very helpful for your future fierce beast battles. Kai Wei's red soul power lingers all over her body, and the B-level martial soul Kai Lianjian has long been condensed in her hands. At this time, she was like a female war god, exuding a powerful aura all over her body. Fierce beasts in actual combat. There was excitement in Su Yi's eyes. It is indeed the school with the most actual combat among the 3 major soul warrior universities. Before entering school, it began to think about training students to fight fierce beasts. Su Yi, is he so interested in actual combat with beasts? Zhao Ruo, a girl with 2 ponytails in the back row, complained softly to Ling Shuang. As a girl, she is somewhat afraid of ferocious beasts. Therefore, she really couldn't understand Su Yi's behavior. Maybe he prefers fighting. And Ning Shuang smiled slightly when she heard the words, an inexplicable light shone in her beautiful eyes. For some girls, men in battle are more attractive. And as it happens, she is such a girl. Roar. Soon, some ferocious beast spotted Zheng Jun and his party. This is a ferocious beast with hair like spikes all over its body, which is 1 meter and 5 meters high. Its pair of fangs protruding from the mouth, under the sunlight, reflected a palpitatingly cold light. I saw the excitement of discovering prey in its eyes, roaring and rushing towards them from the ruins of the city. That huge body is like a small armored vehicle, full of oppression. It's an iron pig. Su Yi's eyes flashed. The iron-haired pig is the most common beast in the wilderness, and its strength varies from high to low. Judging by its size, this should be a Tier 1 primary iron-haired pig whose strength is equivalent to that of a Tier 3 extraordinary soul warrior. If such a ferocious beast broke into the city, a random run could knock down many houses and cause great damage. But meeting Zheng Jun's group of people, they can only be killed in seconds. Sure enough, before the iron pig got close to the range of 10 meters, it was beheaded by a soldier with faint blue soul power all over his body. PFF'd. The iron pig's head was powerless to throw away. Red's blood poured out from the neck like a tap, and a strong smell of blood immediately permeated the surrounding air. As for the iron pig's body, it ran for more than 5 meters with inertia before crashing down, dragging a long bloodstain on the dilapidated ground full of cracks. Vomit. Zhao Shuo, who watched the whole battle through the bulletproof glass, vomited, his face pale. This scene was really cruel for an 18-year-old girl who had never even killed a chicken before. It's okay, just don't look over there. And Ling Shuang gently patted Zhao Ruo's back to ease her discomfort. Compared with Zhao Ruo, although her pretty face was a little pale, it was not enough to retch. From this point, it can be seen that Ling Shuang's adaptability is much stronger than that of Zhao Ruo. Awakened martial souls are rare, high in physical fitness, and strong in fighting, but it doesn't mean they can kill beasts. Some people, when confronted with fierce beasts, cannot exert 10% of their strength but less than 30% of their strength. If you intend to take the direction of actual combat soul fighters in the future, it is better to get used to this kind of scene as soon as possible. Quote. Kai Wei, who was standing next to him, smiled lightly and said, "If you can't get used to it, it's not bad to go in the direction of socialism. There are two types of soul fighters. One is the socialist faction, with weaker combat abilities, such as Zhou Chong, the mayor of Hangzhou. The other category is the actual combat faction. The soul fighters of this school have strong actual combat abilities, and the most important thing is to fight with fierce beasts. As for the Demon City Soul Warrior University, although it tends to train actual combat-style soul warriors, it is also involved in the cultivation of social-style soul warriors." Understood. I will get used to it as soon as possible. Zhao Ruo, a girl with 2 ponytails, took a deep breath and nodded solemnly. Before awakening her martial soul, although her actual combat results were not ideal, but she still wants to take the route of the actual combat soul warrior, and she is unwilling to give up easily. After all, in this world, the stronger one is, the safer one will be. Kai Wei nodded in satisfaction. As a top school of soul fighters, and it is a college that focuses on actual combat, the selection of special admissions is not just based on the rarity of martial souls. The character and practical ability of the students are also the focus of the inspection. Su Yi, and Ling Shuang, and Zhang Yi, all three had relatively high actual combat performance in high school, and only Zhao Ruo could only be regarded as upper middle. Now, even Zhao Ruo, who is the weakest in actual combat ability, is so determined to take the actual combat route, she is naturally very satisfied. Time passed slowly, and after the first iron-haired pig beast, 3 or 4 more beasts attacked Zheng Jun and the others. Of course, these ferocious beasts were basically instantly killed. On the side of the train, there were also fierce beasts attacking, but none of them could make Kai Wei swing a second sword. Wow! Accompanied by the faint light of red soul power, the Chilean sword crossed a graceful angle in the air, and another beast died in Kai Wei's hands. She didn't even get out of the train, and directly manipulated the Chilean sword from the air to kill the beast more than 50 meters away. Including this one, they have already killed 7 beasts. I have almost figured out the attack pattern and destructive power of the beast, so it's time to try it myself. Quote. Sitting on the seat, Su Yi took a deep breath, and after making a decision, she stood up and looked at Kai Wei. Teacher Kai, can I come to the next beast? During the time just now, 4 fierce beasts passed by Zheng Jun. 3 first-order primary beasts, 1 first-order intermediate beast. A first-order primary beast, whose strength is equivalent to that of a human extraordinary first-order to third-order spirit warrior. The first-order intermediate is equivalent to the 4th to 6th-order soul warrior of human extraordinary. And Teacher Kai Wei also had 3 beasts here, but they were all first-order primary. Every time a ferocious beast came, he would concentrate and observe the beast's attack pattern by himself. According to the extreme speed and strength of the fierce beast, simulate how to make a move. It can be said to be a lot of income. But no matter how much you see, you still have to fight. Otherwise, it will become just talk on paper, just putting on airs. Let you come. Kai Wei Shou frowned, with anger in her beautiful eyes. Nonsense, you are an awakened person, why are you here to join in the fun? Although she has always encouraged students to participate in battles, this will only be the case if the students have sufficient strength. And Su Yi is just the strength of the awakened one. Even with an SSS level martial spirit, there is no way to deal with a first order primary beast alone. Now he is actively asking for a fight. Isn't this courting death? Teacher Kai, I'm not fooling around, I've entered the extraordinary stage. Su Yi's heart moved slightly, and the phantom of Deathwing appeared behind him. At the same time, golden red soul power emerged from him, lingering around his body. Kai Wei's pupils shrank, and she said in shock. Have you really entered the extraordinary stage? As a Tiangong level soul warrior, she can easily see the level of all soul warriors whose strength is lower than her own. When Su Yi first arrived, she found that the soul power in Su Yi's body was terribly solidified. However, she only thought it was the trait of an SSS level martial spirit, and didn't pay close attention to it. But now that Su Yi's soul power erupted, she realized that this is not the soul power of an awakened person, but the soul power of the extraordinary level. Extraordinary order. It was only 5 days since she gave Su Yi the soul energy guidance method. Entering the extraordinary stage in such a short period of time, what kind of terrifying talent is this? Kai Wei's plump breasts heaved up and down, and her heart was extremely restless. In 5 days, there were no special admissions for the extraordinary class. For example, and Ling Shuang and Zhao Ruo, they have also entered the extraordinary stage. But of these two, one has a father with a Tiangong rank, and the other has a good family background. Against such a background, the two of them have been taking all kinds of heavenly materials and earthly treasures containing soul energy since childhood. Even though most of the soul energy will be lost, some soul energy will still remain in the body. Less can add up. Once they awaken their martial souls and practice the soul energy guiding method, they can convert all the soul energy that has been lurking in their bodies for more than 10 years into their own soul power, and then quickly break through in a few days and enter the extraordinary stage. But Su Yi is different. She has investigated that there are 2 soul warriors in the Su family, one is Su Sheng of the 5th rank of extraordinary, and the other is Su Chang of the 4th rank of extraordinary. These 2 are not high-level soul warriors, and they have no background. It's just a few small companies with millions of assets. It is impossible to give Su Yi millions of soul energy herbs or pills. That is to say, Su Yi entered the extraordinary stage within 5 days by relying on herself alone. This speed of practice is really too monstrous. As expected of an SSS level martial soul awakener. Quote. After a while, Kai Wei digested the message and regained her composure. Okay, the next beast can let you do it. But if it's a tier 1 mid-level ferocious beast, let me do it. Quote. Once an SSS level martial soul awakener enters the extraordinary level, he will have the ability to fight in leaps and bounds. But beyond the 3rd level, killing the beasts of the 1st level primary is almost the limit. Moreover, this was Su Yi's first time confronting a beast, so it was impossible for her to let him deal with a first-order intermediate beast. Thank you, Teacher Kai. Su Yi nodded excitedly. The golden red soul power on his body became stronger again. Although he was excited, he quickly restrained his emotions, stared at the city ruins outside the train entrance, and waited quietly for the next beast to appear. Seeing this, Kai Wei nodded slightly. The speed of entering the combat state is very fast, and then, what will happen when Su Yi actually makes a move? Some people, fighting fierce beasts for the first time, are even so frightened that they cannot move their hands. Ling Shuang, why was Teacher Kai so shocked when she heard that Su Yi had entered the extraordinary rank? Didn't the 2 of us also enter the extraordinary stage? Quote. In the back seat, Zhao Ruo asked and Ling Shuang in a low voice. You know, Xian and Ling Shuang came here first. Moreover, he informed Mr. Kai of his own practice progress immediately, and all he got was an encouraging word of, not bad, keep working hard. There was no sense of shock and surprise just now. Could it be that Teacher Kai has a preference for Su Yi? Zhao Ruo looked suspiciously at Su Yi, who was standing quietly at the train door. With sword eyebrows and star eyes, his appearance is firm and resolute, and those big eyes with hidden golden red are even more piercing, and he is extremely handsome. It's okay to be handsome. Su Yi's figure is relatively tall, and she doesn't feel thin at all. This kind of appearance and figure is very in line with the aesthetics of Kai Wei, a mature beauty with a hot figure. Of course, it also suits her appetite. If she were Kai Wei, she might also prefer Su Yi. Just as she was thinking wildly, and Ling Shuang's melodious voice sounded next to her. Maybe it's because his background is different from ours. The background is different from ours. What do you mean? Zhao Ruo, who hadn't recovered from his imagination, asked subconsciously. I mean, Su Yi probably just came from the common family. And Ling Shuang first explained a sentence, and then continued to analyze. For us, it is quite normal to enter the extraordinary stage for a few days. Teacher Kai obviously knew this too, so he was not surprised when he learned that we had entered the extraordinary stage in the morning. And just now, Teacher Kai Wei's shocked expression obviously did not expect Su Yi to enter the extraordinary rank at this time. In this way, it can only show that Su Yi has not taken soul energy medicine since childhood. That's why Teacher Kai Wei misjudged. Quote, no way. Zhao Ruo also came back to his senses at this time, with a shocked expression on his face. You must know that the descendants of high-level soul warriors like them, the soul energy potion they have taken since childhood is a huge advantage. It allows them to enter the extraordinary stage at a frightening speed after awakening their martial soul. After Su Yi showed her extraordinary level strength just now, she subconsciously thought that the other party, like herself, was a descendant of a high-level soul warrior. Unexpectedly, it is actually from the common family. No wonder Teacher Kai Wei was so surprised. Zhao Ruo came to a sudden. He came from a common family, but he entered the extraordinary rank in just 5 days, which is indeed a monster. Subconsciously, she thought of her guess just now, and couldn't help but blush slightly. I almost lost my mind. Are you all extraordinary? Zhang Yi, who heard the discussion between Zhao Ruo and Ling Shuang, was a little confused. He arrived not long before Su Yi entered the carriage, so he didn't hear Zhao Ruo and Ling Shuang report their level to Kai Wei. As a result, now you tell me that you are already at the extraordinary level. At this moment, Zhang Yi suddenly felt 10,000 muddy horses galloping past. A temporary lead does not mean a permanent lead. After you enter the school, you will find that it is very easy to enter the extraordinary stage. And the practice after entering the extraordinary stage is what you need to work hard the most. Quote. Kai Wei, who was holding the Chilean sword, said calmly. For the common awakened, it will take several years, or even several years, to enter the extraordinary stage, which is not easy. As for the top academy, Demon City Soul Warrior University, it takes half a year to cultivate a bunch of extraordinary ranks. So what, are low-level extraordinary soul warriors still ants? Therefore, the potential of students is the focus of their attention. Otherwise, why would they need to go to various places to recruit students? It would be much easier to directly recruit the descendants of high-level soul warriors. Su Yi also heard the conversation between Teacher Kai Wei and others, but he didn't care. Instead, concentrate on adjusting your breathing, keep the soul power in your body running steadily, wait for the beast to appear, and then send out a thunderous blow. Roar. After a while, a ferocious beast with black and yellow hair all over its body, which looked like a tiger, and was bigger than a tiger, appeared in Su Yi's line of sight. Mastiff. Mastiff, a canine beast, is of medium size. It is also a relatively common beast in the wilderness area. Most of its strength is Tier 1, and it is good at using sharp claws and fangs to fight. The first-order low-level Mastiff has a bite force of 1,300 kilograms, and can exert a claw force of 800 kilograms with one claw. Equivalent to a flexible small bulldozer. These detailed information about the fierce beasts, Su Yi had specifically inquired and remembered them before, and now they all came to mind when he recalled them for a while. The Mastiff is one of the more powerful beasts of the first-order primary. It's just right for you to try. Su Yi fixed his eyes and was about to step forward, but Kai Wei, who was beside him, frowned and stopped him. This Mastiff is too strong, let me do it. Unlike iron pigs, the strength of Mastiffs is not judged by body size, but by the number of tails. 1 tail is the first-order primary, and 2 tails is the first-order intermediate. By analogy, when a Mastiff has 4 tails, it means that it has entered the second level. Although the Mastiff outside has only 1 tail, there is already a bump beside the tail, which is obviously advancing to the first-order intermediate. This kind of ferocious beast in the advanced stage is much more powerful than the first-order primary beast of common. Possess at least the 4th-order strength of a human soul warrior extraordinary. According to her estimation, Suyi's ability to deal with the monsters of the third level of extraordinary strength is already the limit. Teacher Kai, let me try. Suyi's eyes flashed with strong fighting intent. If I really can't handle it, Mr. Kai, you can take another shot. The stronger the beast, the more challenging it is. Besides, with Kai Wei, a soul warrior of Tiangong rank, is he still worried about his own safety? Kai Wei was a little hesitant when she heard the words, and after thinking for a moment, she nodded and agreed. Well then, be careful yourself. A tier 1 ferocious beast, her aura alone is enough to suppress it. As long as she wasn't instantly killed, she could be saved. And judging from Suyi's previous double first results in actual combat, it's impossible for him to be weak enough to be killed instantly. Clear. Suyi's eyes lit up. Flame knife. The advanced fire element affinity was activated, the flame power gathered, and a sword made of golden red flames was held in his hand. Fire attribute talent. And Ling Shuang, who was seated in the back row, was secretly startled when he saw this. Attribute talent is a kind of martial soul talent, divided into 6 categories: wind, fire, water, earth, light, and darkness. And this kind of attribute talent is extremely rare even among martial soul talents. Once one of the attribute talents is awakened, one can master attribute soul skills that are more powerful than common soul skills. Unexpectedly, one of Suyi's 5 martial arts talents is the fire attribute talent. But thinking of the video of Deathwing's awakening circulating on the internet, she felt that it was nothing. After all, it would be strange if the sky filled with fireworks didn't have the martial soul talent that is compatible with the fire element. After the yan knife was condensed, Suyi leapt out with a stride. The instant acceleration caused Ling Shuang to panic again. This speed was much faster than her. Jumping out of the train, Suyi hid behind an overturned car that he had been watching for a long time, and carefully observed the surroundings. The location where he is now, hundreds of years ago, was within the center of Xingjia City, surrounded by many buildings tens of meters high. It's just that these buildings are dilapidated, many have collapsed, and the few that are still standing are also crumbling. And under his feet, the floor that has gone through hundreds of years has long been cracked and overgrown with weeds. On the road, dilapidated or broken cars, sports cars, etc. can be seen everywhere, and even some broken tires are lying everywhere. Among these dilapidated vehicles, some blackened bloodstains can occasionally be seen. Quickly surveying the surroundings, Suyi looked at his target, the mastiff wandering outside the dilapidated canteen tens of meters ahead. This mastiff has extremely short black and yellow hair all over its body, and its huge muscles can be clearly seen. And the sharp claws that are inadvertently revealed while it is walking are like sharp knives that have shrunk. Under the sunlight near noon, it reflected a cold light. From the point of view of power, if the iron pig is like a heavy bulldozer, savage and ferocious, then this mastiff gives the impression that it is flexible and fierce. This is a fierce beast, it is really powerful. Unlike on the train, now Suyi is equivalent to facing the beast for the first time, so naturally it is another feeling. But he didn't feel scared, instead, he was excited. Call. Suyi took a deep breath, stood up abruptly, and quickly approached the dilapidated canteen with the flame knife in hand. Teacher Kai, can Suyi kill this beast? Will he be injured? In the carriage, Zhao Ruo asked worriedly. She had witnessed the ferocity of the beast just now. Like her, Suyi is still only a special student, so she is naturally a little worried. Suyi can't kill a ferocious beast whose strength is close to the 4th rank of extraordinary, but the ferocious beast can't do anything to him either. Kai Wei smiled lightly and said, the end result should be a stalemate with each other. As a teacher, she is naturally very aware of Suyi's potential. Common's first-order primary beast is naturally a no-brainer. But this kind of Tier 1 primary monster that is about to be promoted is not something that Suyi can handle. As long as it doesn't hurt. Zhao Ruo breathed a sigh of relief. There are special recruits who dare to get out of the car to deal with the beast. On the other side, the track broke, and some soldiers found Suyi, and they couldn't help being surprised. Hiss, it really is. Looking at the soul power on him, it's only a first-order extraordinary, yet he dares to fight this first-order primary mastiff. It really is a fearsome young man. With that teacher Kai in charge, what's the problem? I can do it myself. Don't brag. According to what you said, if there is a high-ranking beast coming later, it's okay for you, a 6th rank extraordinary, to deal with it alone. Anyway, Teacher Kai is also looking at this side woolen cloth. Ahem, I'm joking, just kidding. Quote. Those who can board this train with the commander-in-chief are all experienced extraordinary 7th and 8th rank soul warriors. Low-level ferocious beasts have no pressure on them at all. They are also a bit boring when there are no beasts to deal with. Seeing Su Yi get out of the car alone to fight the beast, they were shocked and happy to chat. It's admirable courage to fight with fierce beasts at 3 levels. However, I am afraid that I will suffer some hardships later. Quote. Jung Jun on the side squinted his eyes, with a faint smile on his face. Soul fighters will wait until they reach the 3rd or 4th level of extraordinary before they dare to enter the wilderness area and fight with fierce beasts. If it is lower than this level, it will only be sent to death. As for the special recruits, although the martial soul is powerful and much stronger than the common soul fighters, after all, they have not received systematic training, and their body skills and sword skills are extremely immature. Moreover, Su Yi is still a young child, and has never experienced the ferocious fighting method of a fierce beast. In this case, it is basically impossible to kill the mastiff, but it is more likely to be counter-killed. Of course, with Kai Wei around, it is impossible to be killed by a fierce beast, and it is only a little bit injured. Thinking of this, Jung Jun turned his head and looked to the right. More than 20 meters to his right, Kai Wei, who was wearing a tight combat uniform, leaned lightly against the door of the first carriage of the train, while the remaining 3 special recruits stood in the carriage, staring closely at Su Yi in the distance. In the sky more than 10 meters above their heads, the pale red Kai Zhangjian quietly floated, shining with a seductive cold light. Jung Jun knew that once Su Yi was in any fatal danger, the Qijian sword would fly out at supersonic speed and directly cut off the nerve at the back of the neck of the mastiff. The train entrance is only 50 meters away from the dilapidated canteen, and there are very few obstacles in the middle, only a few cars over 1 meter high. With a height of 1.8 meters, Su Yi just got up and started running when he was spotted by a mastiff wandering in front of the canteen. Roar! The mastiff let out a threatening growl, lowered its body, fixed its scarlet eyes on Su Yi, but did not take the lead in attacking. Su Yi, who was galloping, frowned upon seeing this. Like humans, ferocious beasts can roughly estimate the strength of the soul fighter after the soul power is activated. And the soul power he aroused now, although stronger than the first level of common extraordinary, did not exceed this range. It stands to reason that a mastiff with an extraordinary level 4 strength should initiate an attack on its own initiative. Why shrink back in place instead? After thinking for a while, Su Yi immediately thought of the reason. Deathwing's passive talent, Long Way. Both humans and ferocious beasts are naturally suppressed. Human perception is weaker, they will only feel a slight sense of oppression emanating from Su Yi's body, and they won't pay too much attention to it. But ferocious beasts are different, their bloodlines and hierarchy concepts are stricter. In the eyes of this Ao dog, Su Yi is equivalent to a cub of an apex beast. Although his strength is weak, he does not dare to provoke it easily. Thinking of the reason, Su Yi didn't hesitate and speeded up again. It is 11 o'clock in the morning, when the sun is shining brightly. However, Su Yi, whose whole body was covered by the golden soul power, and the phantom of Deathwing faintly condensed behind him, was still dazzling. And the flame knife held in his right hand dragged after images in the process of running, which was extremely gorgeous. Roar! As if knowing that he couldn't hide, the mastiff in front of him didn't dodge anymore, and rushed towards Su Yi head-on with his strong limbs. That huge size did not bring it the slightest burden, but instead became its strongest weapon. The abandoned cars along the way are like toys, and they are knocked and flew several meters away with a light touch. With a ferocious momentum, Ao Quan quickly approached within 5 meters of Su Yi. There is a huge difference in the physical fitness of soul fighters and fierce beasts, and a slight touch can cause serious injuries. Therefore, Su Yi did not choose to fight head-to-head. With force under his feet, while dodging to the side, he swung the flame knife and slashed at its soft flank. Files. The mastiff turned around and dodged, the flame knife slashed on its skull, and it made a sound like metal colliding. So hard. Feeling the shock force from the flame knife, Su Yi frowned. The power of this beast was somewhat beyond his imagination. Moreover, this was weakened by his Longwei. Without the influence of Longwei, the strength of the mastiff would at least increase by 10 to 20%. However, this blow is not without effect. On the mastiff's head, where the flame knife fell, a wound more than 10 centimeters long has been cut, and bones can be seen vaguely. Even if it was a bone injury, a wound more than 10 centimeters long was nothing to a mastiff with a body length of more than 2 meters. But this wound is on the head, and it also has fire damage. This time, the mastiff got angry, opened its bloody mouth, and bit Su Yi's waist. Want to bite me? No way. In school, Su Yi Shenfa was among the top ones. After entering the extraordinary stage, with the blessing of soul power, his figure is even more agile. With force on his toes, he stepped back quickly, and easily avoided the bite. There are two strongest melee fighting methods for mastiffs, one is to bite, and the other is to claw. Seeing that the biting didn't work, the fury in the mastiff's eyes deepened again. With a jump, it flew up to a height of more than 2 meters, and its sharp claws swung down towards Su Yi's head with a cold light. The strength of a mastiff's single arm is as high as 800 kilograms, coupled with its claws that are as hard as alloys. If it hits, Su Yi's head might be smashed to pieces like a watermelon. However, although Mastiff had a good idea, with Su Yi's reaction speed, this attack was doomed to be impossible to succeed. I saw his eyes fixed, holding the knife crossbar in both hands, and with a bang, he actually used the flame knife to put his sharp claws down the crossbar. The astonishing strength of the Mastiff was all on Su Yi's body, causing the cracks on the ground under his feet to widen a bit. FK, what kind of power is this, so strong? Zheng Jun, who has been paying attention to the battle situation, almost stared out his eyes, and uttered a rare swear word. The strength of the ferocious beast is much stronger than that of the soul warrior. Under the same level, it is quite normal for a ferocious beast to be 2 or 3 times stronger than a soul warrior. Therefore, when soul warriors fight fierce beasts, they dare not exert their strength at all. Like Su Yi, he has only seen the situation of forcibly receiving the claw strikes from soul fighters who have awakened a pure strength martial soul like vigorous Vajra bear. Although the power of the dragon martial soul is equally powerful, it is really unbelievable for him to have such power at the first level of extraordinary. What a powerful force. In the carriage, both Ling Shuang and Zhao Ruo showed shock at the same time. The Mastiff's attack probably has a force of 800 kilograms, but Su Yi can block it directly. And Ling Shuang's pretty face was full of surprise. In this way, the combined strength of his arms has exceeded 800 kilograms. This is only the first order of extraordinary, is it already this powerful? Quote, this block seems simple, but it reveals Su Yi's astonishing strength. If an ordinary soul warrior dared to do this, he would only end up with a knife destroying people. A strength of 800 kilograms. As expected, a brother Su, so strong. Zhang Yi's eyes lit up next to him, wishing he could also rush up to find a fierce beast to fight. But reason told him that if he rushed forward, he would only be torn apart by one claw. More than 800 kilograms, this mastiff already has the strength of extraordinary level 4, and its single arm should have a strength of 1,000 kilograms. Kai Wei, who was leaning against the train, smiled and said, the power of the fire element, coupled with such a powerful power boost, it seems that his Deathwing is a double-amp martial soul type. According to her knowledge, not all dragon martial spirits have a power increase for soul warriors. For example, the SS-level martial spirits Storm Dragon and Raging Flame Dragon only have a great increase in the control over the elements of the spirit warrior, but the increase in physical body is not as good as other S-level dragon spirits. When Su Yi showed a strong affinity for the fire element, she thought that Deathwing was also a type of martial spirit that tended to amplify the power of the elements. Now it seems that Su Yi's Deathwing should have both boosts. Moreover, both types of increases are extremely powerful. 2 types of increases, 1,000 kilograms of strength. And Ling Shuang was surprised. Su Yi's strength was actually 200 kilograms higher than she estimated. Simply monstrous. Call. And Ling Shuang took a deep breath, after digesting the shocking news. Then he continued to look into the distance with Zhao Ruo and others, paying attention to the ensuing battle. Yo, it's pretty strong. On the run-down road, Su Yi, who received the claw attack, licked his lips. Usually his one-arm strength is only about 300 kilograms, but because of the violent effect of Deathwing's passive talent, after he enters the battle, his strength will become stronger and stronger. Now, just 10 seconds before and after entering the battle, his single-arm strength has reached 500 kilograms. The arms add up to more than 1,000 kilograms. Naturally, it is very easy to block Ao Quan's claw. The strength experiment is over, and it's time to send you on your way. After roughly verifying the increase that the berserk brought to him, Suyi didn't have the heart to fight more. I saw him forcefully push away his sharp claws, the golden red soul power in his whole body flourished, and the flame knife in his hand burned more and more dazzlingly. Extreme flame knife. With a blazing flame, the flame knife, like lightning, slashed at the mastiff with lightning speed. Puff! Before he had time to react, Ao Quan's huge head was cut off directly, and he fell to the ground weakly after flying 3 or 4 meters away. And a large amount of blood is like a fountain, spraying more than 1 meter high from the neck. Immediately afterwards, the headless body of Ao Quan was swallowed by the golden flames and fell to the ground. Under the purification of this flame, even the smell of blood in the air became lighter. And Ling Shuang and others watching from a distance couldn't help but let out a long breath. Mastiff, just died like this. Kai Wei had a strange expression on her face. When did it become so easy to kill a beast? Even a special recruit who has never seen a beast can kill the beast beyond the 4th level. This is too far from her prediction. Teacher Kai, what's the problem? Zhang Yi did not understand the difficulty. Brother Su already possesses an SSS level martial soul, so it should be a very simple matter to kill him at a higher level. Simple. Kai Wei couldn't help but rolled her eyes. The most difficult thing about a ferocious beast is its life force. Even if you cut into its neck more than 10 centimeters, you can't kill it. Instead, it will arouse its ferocity and enter a state of rage. Su Yi can kill in one blow, you tell me it's very easy. Just that knife alone has a lot of knowledge. Quote, Teacher Kai, Su Yi's knife must be a mysterious soul skill. And Ling Shuang said thoughtfully. She had seen the appearance of the elders in the family performing the profound level soul skills, which was very similar to Su Yi's soul power fluctuations just now. Kai Wei nodded, with a complicated look on her face. It is indeed a profound level soul skill, and judging by the energy fluctuations, it is not only a mysterious level primary, it should look like a mysterious level intermediate. Soul skills, as the trump card of soul fighters, are not so easy to practice successfully. Huang, Zan, Earth, and Heaven, the higher the level of soul skill, the more difficult it is to practice. Back then, when she was at the extraordinary level, she spent several months in order to practice a mysterious level primary soul skill. Now, Su Yi has mastered it in just 5 days. Comparing people to people, it's really maddening. And Ling Shuang fell silent upon hearing the words. With her background, of course she can also get in touch with the mysterious soul skills. It's just that she hasn't even touched the threshold of the profound level soul skill until now. Ding, kill a tier 1 primary beast and get 10 soul points. On the dilapidated road, after the mastiff's head was burned into coke, a system notification sound also appeared in Su Yi's mind. Finally got soul points. Su Yi's eyes lit up, and he quickly opened the system panel. Host. Open black lens bracket Su Yi close black lens bracket. Level. Extraordinary First Order. Soul point. Open black lens bracket 10 close black lens bracket. Martial Soul. Deathwing SSS level. Passive talent. Advanced Fire Element Affinity, Rage, Dragon Body, Dragon Might, Prehistoric Flame, Forbidden. Active talents. Magma Flame 1/1, Lava Burst, Forbidden, Cataclysm, Forbidden. Soul skill. Extreme Flame Crazy Knife, Entry. That's right. The soul points on the panel have increased. The next step is to get more soul points, which can be used to upgrade levels or learn skills. Quote. Although 10 soul points are not enough to upgrade the level, Su Yi didn't care too much. After all, this was his first time killing a beast, and it was just the beginning. Just as he finished checking the system panel, the flames burning on the ground went out, revealing the charred body of Ao Quan. Unfortunately, no materials were collected. Su glanced at it, and shook his head regretfully. The materials on the ferocious beast can be sold, and the materials on the first level primary Outdog Elite can be sold for almost 10,000 Washa coins. But like this, it has been burnt into coke, so don't even think about it. Boom. Su Yi's heart moved, the flame knife turned into gold, and the red fire element dissipated in the air. As he walked back, he summarized the battle just now. The battle just now was generally smooth, but in terms of any fighting skills, it was pure soul power crushing. In fact, according to my physical fitness, even if I don't use soul skills, I can kill him. It's just that he lacks experience in fighting fierce beasts, and his sword skills are immature. As a result, I couldn't kill this Outdog quickly, so I could only use soul skills to kill it. After the school registers, the shortcomings must be made up as soon as possible. Quote. In the wilderness area, fierce beasts are rampant, and if you don't pay attention, you will be attacked by the fierce beasts that jump out. Therefore, when soul fighters fight fierce beasts, they will try their best to control the consumption of soul power, and they will not use soul skills if they can. In this way, enough soul power can be left to deal with unexpected situations. If you use a soul skill once to kill a ferocious beast, it may not take half a day before you need to go back to the base city for supplies. Of course, for the first time fighting a fierce beast, it is not bad to be able to exert its full strength. Many soul warriors were so nervous that they couldn't even use their soul skills when they faced the beast for the first time. Also, when Ao Quan was killed and the blood spurted out, I actually felt heart palpitations. I must adapt to this as soon as possible. Bright red blood spewed out like a fountain. The soul warrior who saw this scene for the first time would probably vomit directly. It's just a little palpitation, it's too much beyond the common soul warrior. But Su Yi is still not satisfied, and plans to practice more. After all, with the system in place, he is destined to fight and kill fierce beasts many times in the future. Brother Su, you are amazing. Good job. As soon as they entered the carriage, Zhang Yi and Ling Shuang and Zhao Ruo greeted them with smiles on their faces. Especially Zhao Ruo, who looks like a little girl. The plump Kai Wei also glanced up and down at Su Yi, and nodded in satisfaction. That's right, you did a great job killing the mastiff by jumping over the steps. Originally, in her plan, even if Su Yi could kill the mastiff, it must be a very difficult fight. The most likely scenario is that the battle will enter a stalemate. Unexpectedly, it turned out to be a spike in the end. But it's also true, the profound level soul skills, together with the SSS level martial soul, are enough to instantly kill this beast. So far so good. Su Yi smiled humbly, and then asked again. Teacher Kai, can you leave all the next beasts to me? It's still the same as before, if there is something that I can't deal with, you can do it again. Quote. With Kai Wei around, Su Yi wouldn't have to worry about his own safety if there hadn't been a tier 3 beast that was comparable to a strong Tiangong. That being the case, he naturally needs to accumulate more practical experience in fighting fierce beasts. After all, there will be no Tiangong rank soul warriors to accompany them into the wilderness area in the future. You think of me as your nanny for actual combat training. Kai Wei raised her eyebrows, and instantly understood what Su Yi was thinking. Isn't this a rare opportunity? Su Yi chuckled and didn't deny it. Besides, Mr. Kai, you have been busy for several days, and it is time for you to rest. This little beast should be dealt with by us students. Quote. Your mouth is quite sweet, kid. Kai Wei giggled, but she didn't refuse. For the sake of your consideration for the teacher, I will reluctantly be your nanny once. After finishing speaking, Kai Wei looked at Zhang Yi and the others again. Why don't you try it too? Although the Demon City Soul Warrior University focuses on actual combat, it still allows students to enter the school and receive a period of systematic training and study before taking them to the wilderness area. Like this, it has never happened before to fight a fierce beast directly before reporting. But judging from Su Yi's performance just now, it seems that there is no big problem. In this way, it is also a good choice for these special recruits to participate in the battle with the beast early. Teacher, I won't go. Zhang Yi said weakly. Just kidding, he is still just an awakened person, he can only die if he goes up. What about you two? Kai Wei looked at Ling Shuang and Zhao Ruo. If the two of you fight together, even though you might not be able to kill even a tier 1 primary beast, it should be enough to seriously injure you. I'm going. And Ling Shuang gritted her teeth, nodded and agreed. Although she thinks she is not as good as Su Yi, she still has the courage to fight fierce beasts. I also need to go. Seeing this, Zhao Ruo quickly agreed. Okay, then if there are low-level beasts appearing later, I will leave it to you to deal with. Kai Wei nodded with a smile. She is also happy to be at leisure when a student makes a move. Although both Ling Shuang and Zhao Ruo had the courage to fight the beast. But the first time they fought, the two still suffered a lot. It was a Tier 1 primary iron-haired pig with rough skin and thick flesh. Even if the two of them resorted to all means, they only severely injured him, and their own soul power was consumed. In the end, Su Yi killed him with a happy face. Since Ling Shuang and Zhao Ruo had exhausted their soul power, Su Yi took care of the remaining beasts. And in the process, he also found out his current strength. He can kill most of the first-level primary beasts, but it is a bit difficult for him to get close to the first-level intermediate and fifth-level extraordinary beasts. As for a first-order intermediate, a ferocious beast with extraordinary sixth-order strength, even if his berserk increases to 300% of the limit, there is nothing he can do about it, and he can only let Kai Wei take action. Of course, he only caused Kai Wei to be seriously injured, and he was the one to kill in the end. In this way, you can also get some soul points. An hour later, the track was repaired, everyone got back on the train, and the train restarted. On the train seat, Su Yi closed her eyes slightly, checking her system panel. Host. Open black lens bracket. Su Yi close black lens bracket. Level. Extraordinary first level plus. Soul point. Open black lens bracket 84 close black lens bracket. Martial soul. Deathwing SSS level. Passive talent. Advanced fire element affinity, rage, dragon body, dragon might, prehistoric flame, forbidden. Active talents. Magma flame 1/1, lava burst, forbidden, cataclysm, forbidden. Soul skill. Extreme flame crazy knife, entry. That's right, enough soul points to raise one level. Looking at the plus sign behind the grade, Su Yi couldn't help but smile. Paused, then sighed with some regret. It would be great if I could get all the soul points after completing the final blow. In the battle just now, he has roughly figured out the calculation method of the system's soul points. Killing a Tier 1 primary beast will give you 10 soul points. Killing elite first-tier primary monsters can get 11 to 30 soul points. You can get 50 soul points for killing a first-tier intermediate monster. But the soul points above are all based on single kills. If it is a joint kill, you need to calculate the soul points according to the contribution. For example, the Iron Pig was seriously injured by Ling Shuang and Zhao Ruo, and the first-order intermediate Mastiff was beaten to a near-death state by Teacher Kai. Although he killed them all in the end, he only got 2 soul points and 10 soul points in the end. But it's okay, at least it can catch the leak. Su Yi was in a good mood and even hummed a little song in his heart. It's no wonder that he is happy. He has collected enough soul points, and after enrolling, he can directly be promoted to the second level of extraordinary through the system. It is more than many times faster than relying on the soul energy guidance method to absorb soul energy and transform soul power. Moreover, with the experience of fighting fierce beasts, he can try to hunt fierce beasts alone in the wilderness area near the magic capital after he successfully advances to the next level. Of course, he will only go to small wilderness areas where the highest level of beasts does not exceed the third level. In a large wilderness area like Xingjia, where there are even 5th level king level beasts, he wouldn't even think about entering the Tiangong level. After more than an hour of fighting, everyone was a little tired. After the train started again, they all rested without speaking. After checking the system panel, Su Yi also closed his eyes slightly, quietly running the soul energy guidance method to replenish the consumed soul power. In the next 20 minutes or so, apart from the occasional ominous beast that didn't have long eyes being crushed by the train, there were no other accidents. The train safely drove into Shanghai, and finally stopped in a military area on the outskirts of Shanghai. Here we are, everyone has packed their things and is ready to get out of the car. Kai Wei clapped her hands and shouted. After walking out of the wilderness area safely, she also relaxed, and her tone was not as serious as before. It's already here, so fast. Mr. Kai, how long will we be able to arrive at school? Woo, I really want to take a bath, the smell of blood is too strong. Quote. In the previous battles, Su Yi, and Ling Shuang, and Zhao Ruo were more or less stained with blood. Su Yi herself didn't care much, but the two girls who paid more attention to image were different. When I got off the bus, I asked how long it would take to get to school. Don't worry, it only takes about 30 minutes from the military area to our school. After finishing speaking, Kai Wei looked at Zheng Jun again. Commander Zheng, I'm sorry to trouble you this time. It's nothing, the special recruits are the backbone of our future Huasha National Soul Warriors, and it's worth it for me to escort such a trip. Zheng Jun smiled slightly, looked at Su Yi and the others. The treatment in the military area is good. After you graduate from the Demon City Soul Warrior University, you are welcome to return to Hangzhou and join us. The common students who graduated from the Soul Warrior University in the Demon City are about the 8th or 9th rank of extraordinary. The special enrollment is stronger, and they can even enter the Disha rank after graduation. It is a fragrant steamed bun that all forces are vying for. As the commander-in-chief of the military region, he naturally hopes that there will be more strong men in his military region in the future. Moreover, these 4 people are all from Hangzhou, and the possibility of returning to their hometown in the future is also very high. Okay, Su Yi and the others all smiled and nodded. After that, Kai Wei chatted with Zheng Jun for a few more words before leading Su Yi and his party outside. Although this military area in Modu is located in the outskirts, once you walk out of the gate of the military area, the outside is still a flat road. As soon as he walked out, Su Yi saw an off-road vehicle parked on the side of the wide road. The whole body of this off-road vehicle is pitch black, and the skin looks very thick. Even the tires seem to have been modified, which are much larger than ordinary tires. Beside the off-road vehicle stood a tall and thin young man in a black suit who looked to be in his 20s. Seeing Kai Wei and her group approaching, he respectfully shouted, "Teacher Kai." Kai Wei nodded, and then introduced to Su Yi and others. "This is your junior senior, Lu Jia, and this time he will send us to school." "Thank you, senior." And Ling Shuang and the others quickly expressed their thanks. While Su Yi thanked him, he secretly observed the senior. Although the other party has not released the soul power now, judging from the occasional flashes of light in the other party's eyes, it should be at least a strong person of the 6th or even 7th rank of extraordinary. After 3 years of enrolling, I am at the 6th level of extraordinary, worthy of being the top soul martial arts university. Single quote. His grandfather Su Sheng has practiced for decades, and he is only at the 5th level of extraordinary. Now, a casual third-year student at the Soul Martial Arts University in the capital city has such strength. From this, we can see the astonishing background of the demon capital Soul Martial Arts. Just when Su Yi was secretly amazed, Lu Jia in front replied with a smile. "You're welcome, this is the school's task, and I can get credits after I complete it." "Credit, what's that?" Zhang Yi immediately asked. He is about to enroll, and he is very curious about everything about the Demon City Soul Warrior University. "Let's go, get in the car first, let's talk as we walk." Lu Jia took Su Yi and his party into the car. Kai Wei sat in the co-pilot, while Su Yi, and Ling Shuang, Zhao Ruo and Zhang Yi sat in the back seat. This off-road vehicle is actually bigger than the common off-road vehicle, and it has been modified. Even if there are 4 people in the back seat, it will not look crowded. Boom! The engine roared, accompanied by a strong pushback, and the off-road vehicle started quickly. There are few vehicles in the suburbs, and on the wide road, the off-road vehicle will increase to a speed of 100 km/h less than 200 meters after starting. Credits, you can understand it as a currency that is used in the school. Lu Jia explained while driving easily. Equipment, soul skills, potions, and even the use time of various training rooms can all be traded through credits. After you enroll, uniform will get 10 basic credits. After the credits are used up, you have to complete the school tasks to get them. School tasks, some are difficult, some are simple, and the credits that can be obtained are also different. For example, the task I have taken this time is to send you to school, and to popularize some basic rules of our magic capital Soul Martial Arts University. After completing the task, you can get 2 credits. Quote. 2 credits, so little. Zhao Ruo couldn't help but speak. It's a lot. It's only because of my hard work that I got stuck in the system time. Lu Jia shook his head. Escort missions are basically not dangerous, and you can get 2 credits for a morning trip, which is already very profitable. As Lu Jia spoke, he glanced at Su Yi and the others through the rearview mirror. Did you fight fierce beasts when you came here? The blood of ferocious beasts is similar to that of humans, but brighter. Even if it had dried up, he could tell that the 3 of them were stained with the blood of ferocious beasts. Zhao Ruo nodded slightly. The track of our train broke in the middle, so we got off the train and tried the feeling of fighting with the beast. There was a hint of pride in her tone. But yes, at this age, girls who dare to fight with fierce beasts are very rare. Oh, that's amazing. Freshmen dare to fight fierce beasts. Lu Jia was surprised. He has seen a lot of the situation when the new students have the extraordinary stage in these years. But he had never seen an extraordinary dare to fight a beast at the first level. It's nothing, it's nothing. The 2 of us shot with all our strength, and we only severely injured a first-level primary beast. After all, she was just an 18-year-old girl. Upon hearing the praise, Zhao Ruo waved her hands shyly. Su Yi is amazing, he killed 8 beasts by himself. As she said that, she glanced at it quietly, and then quickly looked away. In the previous battles, Su Yi's vigorous figure and calm expression of hunting beasts were deeply engraved in her mind. 8 heads. Lu Jia's eyes widened, and he almost lost his grip on the steering wheel. Are all the freshmen these days so fierce? You know, these people haven't enrolled yet. The fighting skills are still very immature. If they train at the Seoul Martial Arts University for a semester, wouldn't they be able to enter the wilderness area alone? Subconsciously, Lu Jia glanced back through the rearview mirror again. Among the 4 people in the back seat, he could feel a sense of danger. There was only that handsome young man with broken hair. It seems that he is Su Yi. Before entering training, you can already fight fierce beasts, then you can try to accept the task of hunting fierce beasts in the wilderness in the future. Lu Jia couldn't help but said. The school still has the task of going to the wilderness area. Su Yi's eyes lit up when he heard this. Our demon capital has a great soul and focuses on actual combat. Naturally, we have the task of hunting ferocious beasts. Lu Jia laughed and said. Those strong people in the school sometimes don't even go back to school for several months, and stay in the wilderness all the time. Then don't they have to go to class? Su Yi asked quickly. If so, he can do the same in the future. In this way, the accumulation of soul points will be faster. The school's curriculum has always been relatively relaxed, and it's up to you whether you go or not. At this time, Kai Wei on the co-pilot said. Of course, there are assessments for each semester's courses. If you fail 2 or more courses in 2 consecutive semesters, I'm sorry, but I can only fire you. Quote, expulsion. Can you still be expelled after enrolling? Zhang Yi's eyes widened and she let out a sound of surprise. Common University. Even if you fail a course, at most it's just a retake. As long as you don't make major mistakes, you will almost never be fired. Demon City Soul Warrior University recruits top students every year. No matter how strict they are, they will not be expelled. Failing a subject once is already a warning. If you don't work hard in the second semester, you will continue to fail. Why do you keep this kind of student? Kai Wei snorted coldly. It's just right, the expulsion can make room for the energy gathering tower. Failure for 2 consecutive semesters means that he did not train hard at all. That being the case, it is naturally impossible for the demon capital Seoul Martial Arts to use the extremely scarce precious resources on these students. The energy gathering tower. Su Yi tilted his head and said doubtfully. What is that place? This place seems to be very popular. It is actually necessary to expel students to make room for extra positions. The gathering tower is a tower that the school opens to students to practice. After you report, there will be a detailed introduction along with several other practice areas. There are many practice areas in the school, and it will not be clear for a while. So Kai Wei didn't say much, just explained it roughly. The off-road vehicle drove rapidly, and soon drove out of the suburbs and entered the Magic City. After entering the urban area, the 4 people in the back seat looked out the window in unison. Bustling streets, full of buildings. Compared with Hangzhou City, Shanghai Magic City looks more prosperous. This is the city where I will live for the next 6 years. Su Yi carefully observed the outside. Unlike common universities' 4-year study time, Soul Warrior University has 6-year study and training time. In other words, apart from going to wilderness areas, most of his activities will be in schools and urban areas in the future. That being the case, the more prosperous the urban area, the better. From the current point of view, this magic city, which ranks second among the top 10 base cities in the country, is indeed good. Not only is the city prosperous, but there are also many soul warriors walking in it. Just after entering the urban area for a short while, he saw dozens of soul fighters. This is basically impossible in Hangzhou. Entering the urban area, Lu Jia did not dare to drive too fast, keeping the speed at 60 yards. But even so, more than 20 minutes later, Su Yi and his party also arrived at the gate of the Demon City Soul Warrior University. Phew, it's finally here. Zhang Yi, who was by the window, got out of the car first, and Su Yi, who was following behind, also got out of the car, and then looked forward. About 50 meters in front of everyone is the gate of the Demon City Soul Warrior University. The entrance of this school gate is huge, and as far as the eye can see, there is no problem for 40 cars to pass side by side. The repair is so big, is it necessary to prepare an aircraft carrier? Su Yi couldn't help but complain. Before he came, he had checked the information, and the Demon City Soul Warrior University covers an area of 30,000 mu, 20 million square meters. Even including the school staff, the per capita floor area is about 3,000 square meters. Thinking about it this way, such a large school gate seems to be nothing. With a gate that is 100 meters wide, the height will naturally not be low. The gate tower should be at least 10 meters high. On the top of the gate tower, Long Fei Feng Wu's is engraved with the 7 characters of Modu Soul Warrior University. Pass the gatehouse and continue to look inside. Apart from some tall buildings that can be vaguely seen, the most conspicuous thing is a tall tower. The tower is about 100 meters high, thick at the bottom and thin at the top, and the highest spire is deep into the clouds, so I can't see it clearly. Wow, what a tall tower! Zhao Ruo couldn't help exclaiming, and An Ling Shuang beside him also showed surprise. Such a tall tower is extremely rare even in China. This is the energy gathering tower I mentioned to you just now. Kai Wei in the car said with a smile. She didn't get out of the car, but sat in the driver's seat. Send you to the school, my task is considered complete, then you can follow Lu Jia to report. Trouble, Mr. Kai. Under the watchful eye of Su Yi and his group, Kai Wei drove the off-road vehicle slowly into the campus. Let's go too. There were 2 beauties in the team. Lu Jia was in a good mood and spoke in a brisk tone. This time, even if he got the credits and got to know the beautiful woman, it was not in vain for him to spend so much effort to grab this task. Just as Su Yi and the others walked towards the school gate led by Lu Jia, there was a sudden commotion from around. Look, it's the Blazing Phoenix team. Wow, looking at the blood on their bodies, they should have just returned from the wilderness again. Senior Song is still as beautiful as ever. Even a girl like me, I feel like I will be bent by her after watching it for a long time. Quote. There are many students entering and leaving the school gate. At this time, most people looked in the same direction, exclaiming and discussing from time to time. Su Yi also subconsciously looked there. Immediately, at the rear right, a group of 5 people were walking on the road. The leader was a black-haired young girl in a red battle suit. With curved willow eyebrows, a small chong nose, and red lips, the girl's face is very delicate. In addition to her exquisite and beautiful appearance, she also has a very tall figure, and the curves outlined by the tight battle suit are well-developed. Although the girl's appearance and figure were very eye-catching, Su Yi didn't pay much attention to it. After taking a glance, he focused his attention on the girl's back. There is an extremely exaggerated weapon on the slung, Fang Tian's painting halberd. This square sky painting halberd is about 2 meters long, and the diameter of the metal rod is almost 5 centimeters. Moyo estimated that the weight of this weapon should be as high as several hundred kilograms. It's hard to imagine how this slender girl wields such a thick weapon in battle. Of course, Su Yi also doubted whether this was an ornament, but judging from the dark red blood stains left on the weapon and the fierce aura emanating from the girl's body, this is definitely a genuine alloy weapon. In addition to the girl in the lead, The 4 people who followed her were also stained with blood on their battle clothes and weapons, and their bodies were full of evil spirits. Obviously, this is a team that has really fought fierce beasts. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Chapter 31. Team Blazing Phoenix. Our school allows us to form a team. Suyi, who heard the team's name from the surrounding discussion, couldn't help asking in doubt. Ferocious beasts are rampant in the wilderness area. Even if soul fighters have the strength to kill the beasts, they will usually form a team and enter the wilderness area together. However, teams are generally registered and formed in the supply base when entering the wilderness area. Why not allow it? Lu Jia is a little proud. Students in our school, when they reach the 3rd and 4th grades, generally have the strength of extraordinary level 5 or 6. Of course, they can form a team and enter the wilderness area. Common Soul Warrior University, the strength of the graduates is only extraordinary level 5 or 6. But for the top soul martial arts, it is naturally impossible to do so. It only takes 3 years to achieve the training effect of 6 years of common soul martial arts. Extraordinary level 5 or 6. The members of the team just now should be more than that. Suyi quietly looked at the Blazing Phoenix team going away. Perhaps it was because they had just returned from the wilderness area, and the breath of soul power on them had not completely dissipated. From the perspective of soul power and aura, these people are similar to those soldiers led by Commander Zheng before, and their strength should be around the 7th or 8th rank of extraordinary. And the aura exuded by the headed black-haired girl is even much stronger than these people. The Blazing Phoenix team is well known throughout our school, and their strength is naturally not limited to this. Lu Jia looked complicated. Walking in the front as their captain Song Churan, an S-rank martial soul Chiu Phoenix Awakener, who just entered the 9th rank of extraordinary some time ago. The lowest strength of the team members behind her was also the 7th rank of extraordinary. Moreover, they are only sophomores, and they will not enter their junior year until September when you officially start school. Quote, Lu Jia's current level is extraordinary level 7, which is not bad among common students. But compared with this kind of pride, it is still far behind. After all, everyone in the Blazing Phoenix team is 1 grade lower than him. And even if he was a player of the same level as him in the Blazing Phoenix team, he could easily crush him if he showed his strength in actual combat. Hiss, extraordinary 9th order. Zhang Yi gasped. 20-year-old extraordinary 9th order, too strong. What a great senior. Zhao Ruo and Ling Shuang exclaimed at the same time. Extraordinary 9th level, no matter where it is, it can be regarded as a top powerhouse. And the other party is only 20 years old. It can be said that the future is boundless. Don't worry, when you are sophomores, even if you don't reach this level, it won't be much worse. Lu Jia calmed down and said with a smile. Special enrollment is generally faster than common students. A-level martial soul awakeners like Zhao Ruo and Zhang Yi can usually enter the 7th or 8th level of extraordinary in the 2nd semester of their sophomore year. For an S-level martial soul awakener like Ling Shuang, there is basically no problem with the 9th level extraordinary. As for Suyi, an SSS level martial soul awakener. Lu Jia glanced at Suyi. In the past 5 or 6 years, it seems that only Suyi, an SSS level martial soul awakener, has enrolled in the Demon Capital Soul Martial Arts University. He doesn't know what level he can reach by then. After the Blazing Phoenix team left, the students who entered the school gate gradually stopped talking. And Suyi and his group didn't stay any longer, and went straight into the school. As a top Soul Warrior University, the campus environment of the Magic Capital Soul Warrior University is very beautiful. As soon as you enter the school gate, there is a huge fountain square. Around the fountain in the middle, there are also flowers of various colors. On both sides of the fountain square, there are 2 wide pedestrian passages. The passages are paved with red bricks, and tall trees are planted on both sides of each passage. Walking below, you can smell the quiet fragrance from the flowers on the top of the tree. According to Lu Jia, this tree is called Anshan tree, and it blooms from June to September every year. The aroma of the flowers has the effect of relieving mental fatigue. Under the tree, apart from Suyi and his group, there were also many students from the Demon Capital Soul University. They all walked together in 2s and 3s, hand in hand. Suyi thought that the bloodstains on his body would attract a lot of attention when they were walking on the road. However, this is not the case. The students I met on the road just looked sideways and then stopped paying attention. Even if the line of sight stays here, it is basically because of the amazing looks of Suyi and Ling Shuang. But that's true, the students have long been familiar with the bloodstained clothes of a team like the Blazing Phoenix team that often goes in and out of the wilderness area. On the contrary, it is not as eye-catching as handsome men and beautiful women. Under the leadership of Lu Jia, Suyi and his group arrived at the freshman registration office not long after entering the school. Okay, it's time for freshman registration. What appeared in front of Suyi and his group was a modern building. Unlike the tall buildings that move around, the reporting office only has 2 floors. The report office was built more than 50 years ago. Although it has been maintained at times over the years, it has not been renovated and rebuilt. However, this registration office is only used when freshmen report each year, and it doesn't need to be too elaborate. Quote. While introducing, Lu Jia led everyone into the lobby on the first floor. The lobby on the first floor covers an area of about 400 square meters. The lobby is very simple, except for a few rows of sofas. It is the front desk that says, Registration Office for New Students. Although it's the registration office for freshmen, usually only special recruits will report here. Lu Jia said with a smile. Seoul Martial Arts University, the capital city, recruits nearly 1,000 students every academic year. Although the registration office occupies a large area, it is impossible for so many freshmen to report here. Therefore, when the term starts in September, freshmen will still report to their respective colleges. In the lobby, apart from Suyi and his group, there were 5 or 6 other people lined up at the front desk. When someone came in, they subconsciously looked this way. Hiss, that teary mole girl is so beautiful. Yeah, the figure is also great. Hey, that girl with twin ponytails is also nice, very cute. The eyes of the few boys lined up there were all bright, and the eyes of the remaining 2 girls were also hot. Wow, the boy on the far left is so handsome. Sister, you have good eyesight. Just as I thought. They should be special recruits just like us. It should be. Common freshmen will not register until September. Quote. As a boy who is number 1 in combat and has good looks, Suyi was a man of the hour when he was in high school. I don't know how many love letters have been stuffed in the desk, how many confessions have been rejected, and I have long been resistant to girls' attention. So, even though the girls at the front desk had hot eyes, he still calmly lined up at the back of the line. The same is true for Zhao Ruo, not to mention the iceberg beauty and Ling Shuang, with a cold face. When one of the boys plucked up the courage to ask for contact information, he refused on the spot without hesitation. There are not many staff members at the front desk, only 1 person. But the speed of registration was still very fast. After a while, and Ling Shuang, Zhao Ruo and Zhang Yi completed their registration, and it was Suyi's turn. Name, Suyi. Which teacher is responsible for recruiting you? Teacher Kai Wei. Well, I found it, Suyi, Hangzhou number 3 high school, right? Yes, okay, just verify the gene sequence and complete the registration. The staff handed over a square black instrument, which is different from the genetic verification instrument used by teacher Kai Wei before. This one is bigger. Suyi put his finger on it. After a while, the genetic sequence detector that collected blood from the fingertip sounded. 2120 level 01 special move sequence Suyi, complete the registration. The notification sounded, and the few people in front who were about to leave the hall after reporting for duty looked back in surprise, and the 2 girls who were talking aloud just now exclaimed even more. It's actually sequence 01. Hiss, I didn't expect to encounter sequence 01 here. Not surprisingly, he should be the strongest in our class, right? It should be, tisk tisk, sequence 01, it should be an SS level martial soul awakener. Suyi, I seem to have seen this name somewhere. Quote. Is there something wrong with the 01 sequence? After those people left, Suyi asked with some doubts. When he reported just now, everyone had a sequence, so he didn't pay much attention. Now it seems that this sequence has other meanings. The admissions sequence is an evaluation of freshmen. The higher the sequence, the more attention the school attaches to you. Lu Jia was not surprised by Su Yi's O1 sequence, and explained with a smile. When he was in the car, he knew that Su Yi was the awakened SSS martial soul. I am sequence 05, which means there are 5 freshmen who are stronger than me. And Ling Shuang raised her eyebrows. This situation was beyond her expectation. I am sequence 26. Zhao Ruoxiaoyuan had a smile on her face. For the sequence, she doesn't pay much attention to it. After all, she is only an A-level martial soul awakener. Well, I'm the lowest, I'm sequence 35. Zhang Yi said helplessly. After knowing that Su Yi and the others had already entered the extraordinary stage, he was already flattened, so he wasn't too disappointed. Student Su Yi, here is your student ID card. At this time, the staff handed over the student ID card. This is my student ID card. Su Yi looked at the cards in his hand. I don't know what material the card is made of, but the whole body is dark black, as cold as jade. Name: Su Yi. Class: Beast Department, Class 1. Student ID, asterisk. Dormitory. Dormitory number, 08, District 1 foot. On the front of the student ID card is the name, student number and dormitory and other relevant information, and on the back is a gorgeous phoenix with wings spread. This is the school badge of the Demon City Soul Warrior University, which can be seen everywhere in the school. It was also on the tutor uniform that teacher Kai Wei was wearing back then. According to the information Su Yi found before, this should be the martial soul awakened by the first-generation principal of the Martial Arts University. In many places in our school, you need to swipe your student ID card to enter, so you must keep it well, and report the loss in time if you lose it. The staff at the reporting office exhorted. Clear. Su Yi nodded slightly, and kept her student ID card close to her body. After the registration is completed, it is time to report to the dormitory. The location of the dormitory is not very far from the registration office. After walking more than 100 meters, the group arrived at the dormitory area. Demon City Soul Warrior University, as the top soul warrior university in the country, is very rich. But when Su Yi saw his dormitory, he was still shocked. What appeared in front of him were detached villas. One row on the left, one row on the right, stretching to the end of the line of sight. Is this our dormitory? Zhang Yi swallowed, her shock was beyond words. How about it, not bad. Lu Jia chuckled, he liked the way the freshman looked like he had never seen the world before. All the students in our school live in villas. It's just that special admissions are divided into 2 people, and common students are divided into 4 people. Quote. As expected of the rich and powerful Demon City Soul Warrior University. Su Yi was amazed. Any villa in the front area has an area of 300 to 400 square meters. It is comparable to the villa of my grandfather Su Shang. And judging from the exquisite decoration outside the villa decoration, this is not a common villa, but a relatively high-end one. Such a villa, on the outside, can be sold for 7 or 8 million yuan, which is basically no problem. Su Yi, which dormitory are you in? Compared with Su Yi, and Ling Shuang was much calmer, without a single wave on her cold face. For her, such a villa is just a common standard. Number 8, Su Yi replied. Zhang Yi, like him, is also in the number 8 dormitory. We are number 10, we should be next door to you. And Ling Shuangyu brushed her hair lightly with her hands. The dormitory arrangement of the magic capital Hunwu University can be arranged according to the students' preferences. And she had already agreed with Zhao Ruo to be in the same dormitory at the freshman report office. Now, both of them are in the number 10 dormitory. That's good, it's very convenient to contact in the future. Zhang Yi's eyes lit up. It's a joy to think about being neighbors with 2 beautiful women. Send you to the dormitory area, my mission is over. Lu Jia also breathed a sigh of relief at this time. I'm leaving first, you guys remember to attend the special admissions meeting tomorrow. Trouble Senior. Su Yi and his group nodded at the same time. Okay, let's go in too. After Lu Jia left, Su Yi and his group walked into the dormitory area. There are 1 to 6 areas in the dormitory of Hunwu University in Shanghai, which correspond to students enrolled in different academic years. The District 1 they are in is prepared for the freshmen who enter this school year. At this time, common students hadn't enrolled yet, and there were only a few students walking on the road in the middle of the villas in District 1. In the dormitory in District 1, there is a small lawn in front of each villa, and a small wooden sign stands in front of the lawn. When passing by the wooden villa marked 4, 2 people walked out of the villa. These 2 people are one black and one white. The black man on the left is taller, about 2 meters tall. Wearing a vest, his muscles are high and bulging. It walks like a chimpanzee. The white man on the right is shorter, but he still looks 1.9 meters, and he is also full of oppression. The most striking thing is his eyes, which turned out to be secluded green. The top Seoul Martial Arts University in China is nothing more than that, even the dormitory is so stingy. The tall black man who looked like a chimpanzee snorted coldly. His common words are not quite standard, but the disdain in the words can still be heard. Walker, we are not in country M now, so be careful when you speak. The white man on the right frowned and reminded. His common words are quite standard, and it looks like he has been specially practiced. So what, if it wasn't for the quota, we would come here. The tall black man said another sentence, but he seemed to realize that the timing was wrong, so he didn't say anything. People from country M. Su Yi, who listened to the whole conversation, frowned. After the fierce beasts invaded, most of the countries on Blue Star were destroyed and annexed. Today, there are only 5 countries left: Washa, M, the European Union, Oceania, and South America. Unexpectedly, there are foreign students in this magical capital, Hanwoo University. HMPH, we Washa are still so arrogant here, it seems that we have never been beaten before. Zhang Yi uttered angrily, and An Lingshuang and Zhao Ruo beside him frowned at the same time. After the appearance of soul fighters, the war between humans and beasts entered a stalemate, and the intensity of the war gradually weakened. And the 5 countries that originally worked together to resist the beasts also started to have friction again. Especially in recent years, countries have been targeting China. This also caused them to have little good sense of foreigners. What's more, just now that person actually slandered the demon capital Seoul Martial Arts University, and they didn't like it at all. There's no need to be angry with this kind of person. Su Yi looked calm. As a native of Washa, he naturally couldn't see others slandering his country and school. But it is also impossible to directly trouble others just because the other party said these 2 sentences. And being able to meet these 2 people here means that the other party is also a special recruit. That being the case, there are many opportunities to deal with these 2 foreigners in the magic capital Seoul Martial Arts University that encourages actual combat. Hey, listen to Brother Su. Zhang Yi smiled, didn't pay attention to these 2 people, and continued to search for the number 8 dormitory. There are signs in front of the villa, so the group quickly found their respective dormitories. As An Lingshuang expected, number 10 dormitory is next to number 8. You go in first, and we will go to the cafeteria together after we finish packing. Okay. Su Yi nodded, and then walked into the number 8 dormitory with Zhang Yi, while An Lingshuang and Zhao Ruo continued to move forward. Magic City Hanwoo University, the 9th floor of the teaching building, the vice principal's office. Kai Wei, who had already changed into a gorgeous tutor uniform, stepped into it with a swaying figure. Behind the desk in the vice principal's office, a middle-aged man with glasses was working. Seeing Kai Wei walk in, he raised his head slightly. Came back. His voice is very magnetic, with a strange charm. Kai Wei nodded slightly, the expression on her delicate face was extremely solemn. Principal Li, all the new students in Jiangnan province have been sent to school safely. Li Zhonghai, one of the 3 vice principals of the Seoul Martial Arts University in the magical capital, has the initial strength of Fenghu. In front of this person, she, a soul warrior of the Tiangong rank, didn't even dare to speak out. How is that SSS level awakened Su Yi doing? Li Zhonghai was typing on the keyboard with both hands, but unlike the common people, his hands had already turned into phantoms. The rattling sound of the keyboard was also joined together. Performance is good. The Red Flame Soul Energy Guidance Method has been mastered, and it has entered the extraordinary stage. After a pause, Kai Wei added. Moreover, he can also kill the first-order primary beast alone. Oh, Li Zhonghai's fingers tapping on the keyboard paused, and then he showed a smile. That's right, it's not in vain for us to use up a Yunlongqi spot on him. At the first level of extraordinary, killing a first-level primary beast alone which is comparable to the 3rd and 4th levels of extraordinary, is a very inconceivable thing in the eyes of common soul fighters. But for Li Zhonghai, the last sentence can only be called good. In this way, it will be even more impossible for the Wilhelm family to get a place in our school's secret realm. The smile on Li Zhonghai's face became brighter again. He closed the computer and looked at Kai Wei in front of him. Ms. Kai, the 3-school league will start in 4 months, and you will be fully responsible for the training of special recruits during this period. If you have any questions, you can contact me directly. Quote. Clear. Kai Wei nodded solemnly. On the Huasha Kingdom's network, there is no ranking of the 3 top schools, including the Soul Warrior University in the capital city. But in fact, every year 1 month after the freshmen enter school, the 3 major schools will hold a freshman league. While testing the strength of students, it is also a test of the teaching strength of the school. The special recruits who entered early are the main training objects of the freshman league. By the way, Su Yi can watch more. If his performance in the freshman league is okay, Principal Zhang should accept him as an apprentice and become his exclusive mentor. Quote. Li Zhonghai added, Principal Zhang accepts apprentices. Kai Wei's pupils shrank, and a turbulent wave arose in her heart. Among the 3 vice principals, if anyone is said to be the strongest, it must be Zhang Daoyuan, who has awakened the S-rank martial soul meteor dragon. Unexpectedly, that person actually moved his mind to accept disciples. But yes, the SSS level Dragon Martial Soul Awakener is enough. Okay, I've worked hard for you during this time, go on down, your reward school has been sent to your account. Okay, Kai Wei suppressed the surprise in her heart, bowed and saluted, and left the office. These marquee level powerhouses, one by one, have such a strong coercion. In the corridor, Kai Wei was completely relaxed. Even if a marquee level powerhouse does not open up his aura, the huge soul power contained in his body will involuntarily bring pressure to the people around him. This kind of pressure also caused her, a Tiangong rank soul warrior, to walk on eggshells every time she went to meet the vice principal. Swish. Press the button on the side of the smartwatch in your left hand, and a pale blue virtual window is projected in midair. After some operations, her information interface appeared on the virtual projection. There are actually 50 star points. Looking at the star points below her name, Kai Wei's expression brightened. The Demon City Soul Warrior University possesses massive resources. These resources can be redeemed by students and teachers. Students use credits, while teachers use star points. Originally, after this recruitment task, she should only get 30 stars. Now it's a full 20 points more. After thinking about it, she realized that it should be an additional reward from the school for recruiting Su Yi, an SSS level martial soul awakener. Su Yi, you are really my lucky star. It seems that the next special enrollment training will not work without staring at you. Quote. Kai Wei licked her sexy red lips, stepped on her slender thighs, her tall chest swayed slightly, and left here briskly. The Freshman League has been held since 20 years ago. In the past 20 years, most of them were the Demon City Soul Warrior University, and occasionally the other 2 academies. 5 years ago, the magic capital Hunwu University ushered in its 6th principal. Under the leadership of the new principal, in the past 5 years in the Freshman League, the Magic City Soul Martial Arts University has always won the first place. Originally, with the result of winning the first place for 5 consecutive years, she, the person in charge of special enrollment training, was under great pressure. However, Su Yi's performance exceeded her expectations, and she has entered the extraordinary stage. And after seeing the admission list at the admissions office just now, she also found that a proud son of heaven who had awakened an SS-level martial spirit was also admitted to the Demon Capital Soul Martial Arts University. In this way, her pressure was relieved a lot in an instant. After all, as long as they can train these 2 well, they can easily win the first place in the Freshman League. On the other side, the Magic Capital Soul Wuda, the 2nd floor of the number 8 dormitory in District 1. After taking a shower and putting on clean clothes, Su Yi sat cross-legged on the floor of the training room. A system panel appeared in his mind. Host. Open black lens bracket Su Yi close black lens bracket. Level. Extraordinary first level plus. Soul point. Open black lens bracket 84 close black lens bracket. Martial soul. Deathwing SSS level. Passive talent. Advanced fire element affinity, rage, dragon body, dragon might, prehistoric flame, forbidden. Active talents. Magma flame 1/1, lava burst, forbidden, cataclysm, forbidden. Soul skill. Extreme flame crazy knife, entry. Advanced. Suyi suddenly tapped the plus sign behind the panel level. Boom. In the training room as high as 150 square meters, invisible soul energy frantically poured into his body, and then transformed into his own soul power under the action of the red flame soul energy guidance method. Due to the fast transformation, the soul power lingering all over his body is incomparably rich, and the red light emitted makes him look like a little sun. The entire promotion process did not last too long, and soon, the training room returned to calm. And the red light on Suyi's body also gradually disappeared. Call. Feeling the end of the promotion, Suyi breathed a sigh of relief. It turns out that the promotion of the system is similar to the promotion of practice, but the process is shortened rapidly. According to his estimation, it would take him more than half a month to advance to normal practice. And just now, after clicking the plus sign next to the system level, it took half a month of practice to absorb and transform the huge soul energy, and it was completed in just over 10 seconds. No matter what method is used to advance, the effect will be the same. Suyi stood up, her heart moved slightly. A stream of red soul power that was more than twice as condensed rose up, and behind him vaguely condensed into a phantom of a black dragon with golden eyes. Drink. He walked to the boxing strength testing machine in the training room, and swung his right fist wrapped in soul power with all his might. Boom. The test target on the top of the fist strength testing machine shook violently, and at the same time, an electronic prompt sounded from inside the machine. Fist strength, 520 kilograms. 520 kilograms, the strength has increased by almost 60 kilograms, not bad. The corner of Suyi's mouth grinned, revealing a bright smile. The strength of the fist is 520 kilograms, and the strength of one arm is about 70% of the strength of the fist, which is 364 kilograms. At the first level of extraordinary, his single arm strength is only 300 kilograms. It can be said that it is very powerful after one promotion and the strength of 64 kilograms is increased. Of course, there is also Deathwing's martial soul's passive talent, Dragon Body, which brings a boost effect. Next, it's time to test the strength of my soul power. Suyi turned around and walked to another instrument next to the strength testing machine. The appearance of this instrument is somewhat similar to the Wuhun Awakening instrument. It is 2 meters high, and the whole body is black, full of sense of technology. But there is no awakening crystal in the middle of this instrument, only a hollow. He put his hand in this hollow, and then the soul power in his body violently surged. Soul power strength, 100 cards. Common soul power tester can only estimate soul power through attacks, just like the one in Grandpa Su Sheng's training room. But the magic capital is very different. The test devices randomly assigned to students are all high-end products. They don't need to launch an attack, and they can easily test the strength of their soul power by only stimulating their soul power. 100 cards of soul strength, not bad. Suyi nodded slightly. The basic strength of the soul power is 100 cards. Using the extreme flame crazy knife, the final attack can reach more than 400 cards. This kind of power also has the power to protect itself in front of the first-order intermediate beasts. In this way, it is also safer to enter the wilderness area. Brother Su, Zhao Ruo and the others are packing up soon, let's go out and wait for them. At this time, Zhang Yi's voice came from downstairs. The student villa has 2 floors, and each floor has the same layout, including training rooms, bedrooms, lounges and living rooms. Zhang Yi chose the first floor, while Suyi chose the second floor. Coming, Suyi replied, restrained his soul power, turned and walked out of the training room. In front of Villa 8. Suyi was dressed in casual clothes, with a calm expression, waiting quietly. Zhang Yi beside him looked around. Everything around him seemed very new and interesting to him. Brother Su, look at the opposite side. There is a big beauty. Suddenly, Zhang Yi exclaimed in a low voice. Su subconsciously looked over, and saw a girl walking out of the number 7 dormitory opposite. The girl wore a pair of black-rimmed glasses, and her face was pure and charming under the glasses. She is tall and slender, with a pair of round and slender legs under the short black skirt, which is even more dazzling white, like the highest quality ivory. She has a charming appearance and a tall figure, but what is even more amazing is that a certain part of her chest is also extremely well developed. In such a scene, even Suyi, who deliberately cultivated his calm state of mind, couldn't help but feel his heart tremble. This is the so-called slightly fat figure, it is pure and lustful. What a beautiful girl, Suyi couldn't help admiring. Although the girl is beautiful, he is not someone who is impassive when he sees a beautiful woman. After a compliment, he looks away. But Zhang Yi was different. I saw him staring at that side with a look of obsession, and his saliva was about to flow out. Seeing this, Suyi was speechless, and when she was about to remind her, and Ling Shuang walked over with Zhao Ruo. The two of them also changed their clothes. And Ling Shuang was wearing a pure white short sleeve paired with a pair of light blue denim leggings, showing Yuji's style. Zhao Ruo, on the other hand, was wearing a floral skirt, which looked cute and petite. Suyi, have you advanced? As soon as he walked up, and Ling Shuang asked suspiciously. She could feel that the aura on Suyi's body seemed to become stronger again. Suyi touched his nose, but didn't hide it. In the demon capital Soul Warrior University, strength is everything. The higher the strength, the more resources you can get. Only a fool would choose to hide his strength. And Ling Shuang was stunned. Originally, she just asked subconsciously, and originally thought that the answer she got would be that her strength had improved. Unexpectedly, it was really advanced. Calm down. And Ling Shuang's well-developed chest rose and fell, and it took her a while to accept this fact. Unlike her, Zhao Ruo's reaction was much calmer. SSS level Martial Soul Awakener, it's normal to practice quickly. After experiencing the incident of the orbit breaking, it is not surprising that Suyi was immediately promoted to the third rank of Extraordinary. SSS level Martial Soul, after all, it has to be different. Let's go eat, I'm so hungry. At this time, Zhang Yi also looked back with unsatisfied intentions, and greeted them to go to the cafeteria together. This man has such a strong breath of life. In front of number 7 dormitory, Zhu Jinyu, wearing a short black skirt, stared at Suyi and his group as they left. The clear and bright eyes under the black-rimmed glasses reflected the backs of these 4 people. Different from the reality, the 4 people in the reflection of the eyeballs all exude bright light. Among them, Suyi, who was walking in the middle, radiated the most dazzling light, like a little sun. The light from the 3 people around them was almost covered by this little sun. Xiao Yu, let's go. A tall girl with white hair walked out of Villa number 7. Seeing that her best friend didn't reply, she quietly walked behind her and hugged her. Since you are so engrossed in watching, don't blame me for the sneak attack. Zhao King, don't make trouble. Although it wasn't the first time he was attacked by surprise, Zhu Jinyu still blushed and managed to break free from the opponent's evil hand. As expected of Xiao Yu, the touch is as good as ever. The white-haired girl called Zhao King said solemnly. As a girl, she enjoyed touching that soft and elastic waist very much. I regret choosing the same dormitory as you. Zhu Jinyu rolled his eyes upon hearing this. The dormitory has already been registered, and it's useless to regret it now. Zhao King chuckled, then returned to the topic, tilted her head and said curiously. What were you looking at just now? Nothing. There was a strange look in Zhu Jinyu's beautiful eyes. With her slender right hand, she straightened her messy hair because of playing around, and then continued. It's just that I found that someone's breath of life is stronger than mine. The breath of life is stronger than you. No way. Xiao Qing, a white-haired girl, widened her eyes and exclaimed in a low voice. My best friend, after awakening the martial soul, has the ability to see through the breath of life. This breath of life, in simple terms, refers to the strength of a person's martial soul. And my girlfriend, who awakened an SS-level martial soul, now unexpectedly sees someone with a stronger life force than her. The meaning of this is self-evident. I didn't expect that besides you, Xiao Yu, the Demon Capital Soul Martial Arts University also recruited the only SSS-level martial soul awakener this year. It's a good trick. Zhao King couldn't help being amazed. My best friend, although she usually looks harmless to humans and animals, even feels a little weak and helpless. But she knew how terrifying her girlfriend would be if she really wanted to do it. In order to recruit his best friend, Seoul Martial Arts University, the capital city, paid a lot of money. Unexpectedly, in addition to his best friend, the magic capital Seoul Martial Arts University actually won this SSS Martial Soul Awakener. Yes, Zhu Jinyu nodded slightly, looking at Su Yi, who was gradually going away, with a look of interest on her pretty face. But this is more interesting. The canteen of Seoul Martial Arts University is very large, and there are many kinds of dishes. There are not only common dishes, but also rare dishes made of beast meat. Since the group consumed a lot of soul power and physical energy in the wilderness area in the morning, they simply ate the beast dishes. Not to mention, the dishes in the cafeteria are actually more delicious than the meals cooked at home. After the meal, and Ling Shuang and Zhao Ruo were going to go for a stroll in the city center, and Zhang Yi also followed. But Su Yi declined the invitation, and planned to go to the mission building of the school to learn about the mission of the school that Senior Lu Jia had mentioned before. According to the map on the school's official website, Su Yi quickly found the mission building of the magic capital Hongwu University. This is a 6-story building. On the side of the building, there are 3 big characters of Mission Building, written in standard italics. That's right, it's here. Su Yi compared the map on the phone, made sure she was on the right track, and walked towards the entrance. Drop. Single quote. After swiping his student card at the entrance, he was able to enter the lobby on the 1st floor. As soon as you enter the hall, the first thing you see is a huge electronic screen. Task. Collect 10 teeth of the earth-splitting tiger. Time. 6 days. Award. 10 credits. Risk level. Low. Recommended grade. Extraordinary Tier 4. Single quote. Mission. Go to Dongpu District to assist in the capture of fugitive spirit warriors. Time. 20 days. Reward. 30 style of study. Risk level. Medium. Recommended grade. Extraordinary Tier 6. Single quote. Task. Collect 10 plants of Qingxin grass. Time. 8 days. Award. 12 credits. Risk level. Low. Recommended grade. Extraordinary Tier 3. Single quote. On the huge electronic screen, missions are displayed one by one. At a glance, there are at least hundreds of missions. For these tasks, the credit rewards are high or low, and the strength requirements are also high or low. He even saw a mission whose mission level was required to be Earth Fiend. But he was not surprised. Some people entered the 9th rank of Extraordinary in the sophomore year. In the higher grades, there must be students who have reached the rank of Disha. In the lobby of the mission building, there are many students like him. Strangely, none of these people looked up at the screen above them. Instead, they hurried inside, and some students in combat uniforms and carrying backpacks walked towards the elevator with tired faces. Isn't it here to accept the task? When Su Yi was wondering, someone behind him said with a smile. Come to submit the task. After finishing speaking, without waiting for Su Yi's response, he continued. Low-risk tasks are handed over on the 1st floor, medium-risk tasks are handed over on the 2nd floor, high-risk tasks are handed over on the 3rd floor, and extremely dangerous tasks are handed over on the 4th floor. Su Yi turned his head and took a look, and there was a young man about his own age standing behind him on the left. The young man has a handsome appearance, slightly long hair, and a smile on his face. Different from the simple and honest smile of Senior Lu Jia before, the young man's smile was a little flamboyant and cynical. What makes Su Yi look sideways is not the appearance, nor the smile, but the black backpack on the young man's back. This backpack is extremely huge, more than half a meter taller than the young man. In the hall, like this young man, there are not many people wearing combat uniforms and carrying backpacks. But no one's backpack swelled to such an extent that the fabric on the surface seemed to be stretched to pieces. Seeing Su Yi looking at the backpack behind him, the young man laughed and said, "This is what I gained in a month in the wilderness. Are you submitting a task for the first time? Go, I will take you." The missions I took ranged from low to high, no matter what the degree of danger. It happened to go from the 1st floor to the 3rd floor. Quote, those who can enter the mission building are all students of the Seoul Martial Arts University in the Magic Capital, and Su Yi just wanted to ask if it is possible to accept missions here. So he stopped hesitating and said, I'm not here to hand in the task, but to receive it. He was planning to go to the wilderness area, and if he could accept a few school tasks before going in, he could get more benefits. Come here to pick up the mission. The young man was slightly taken aback. To accept the task, just accept it directly on the student system. Why are you here? This is the place to submit task materials and check whether the task is completed. Quote. Student system. What's that? Su Yi asked doubtfully. The student system doesn't even know. The young man was a little surprised, and after looking Su Yi up and down, he smiled and said, Newborn. My guess is, how could the old students not know about the student system? The young man laughed and seemed very satisfied with his reasoning. We have a dedicated student system at the Seoul Martial Arts University. Whether it is purchasing equipment, cheats, accepting missions, or forming a team into the wilderness area, you can use it. You have just entered school. After a while, there should be a special teacher to explain it to you. Quote. Trouble Senior. I don't know who the senior is. Su Yi saw that although his tone was arrogant, he was still very enthusiastic, and since he knew nothing about the Seoul Martial Arts University, he started to strike up a conversation. Academy of Arms, Li Yao, a quasi-senior student. Li Yao introduced himself and asked, And you? Su Yi, freshman. Special enrollment. The special recruits have just enrolled, so you're starting to get in touch with the mission. Learn about it in advance. Anyway, you will have to get in touch with it in the future. That's right, but it's rare for someone like you to come to the mission building as soon as you enter school. At this time, you haven't laid a good foundation yet, so it is very dangerous to accept the task rashly. Quote. Li Yao said something casually, and then returned to the main topic. In the task building, although you can also receive tasks, most people still receive them directly on the student system. You will come to this mission building only after collecting the mission materials. Quote. Understood. Su Yi nodded slightly. If this is the case, then he is not in a hurry to accept the task. Anyway, as long as he logs into the student system, he can accept the task at any time. Not running back and forth, so troublesome. By the way, Senior Li, is there an upper limit for the school's task acceptance? Su Yi asked curiously. According to Li Yao's words just now, there must be more than one school mission. It's just that the maximum number of tasks that can be accepted at the same time still needs to be understood through the other party. 4. Up to 4 tasks at the same time. Li Yao stretched out 4 fingers, and if these 4 tasks cannot be completed within the specified time, the number of tasks accepted at the same time will be reduced. By analogy, to the minimum, only 1 task is allowed to be accepted at the same time. Of course, if you can complete 4 tasks on time several times in a row, then the number of tasks you can accept at the same time will also increase. Take me for example, I can accept up to 5 tasks at the same time. Quote. It can be heard that Li Yao is very proud of having the privilege to accept 5 tasks at the same time. Senior Li is amazing. Su Yi also paid a cheeky flattery. Although Li Yao didn't let go of his momentum now, he could still feel that the opponent's coercion was stronger than that of the extraordinary 9th rank leader of the Blazing Phoenix team he met at the school gate. Even if it is not the Earth Evil rank, it is also the peak of extraordinary. Have some eyesight. Li Yao laughed immediately when he heard the words. In previous years, there were more stunned freshmen. Thinking that you are a special recruit, 1 in a million, is so amazing. After entering Mowu University, they will understand that seniors are for respect, and senior sisters are not for teasing. Quote. Senior Li is right. Su Yi coughed dryly. This Senior Li Yao is a bit interesting. Just understand. Li Yao smiled, took out his phone to check the time, and said. The freshmen who just entered school don't know a lot of common sense about the magic capital Seoul Martial Arts University. It stands to reason that a senior should tell you more. But I still have to hand in the task. I don't have time to accompany you. You should have a special admissions meeting. At that time, many general knowledge teachers will explain it clearly to you. Alright, let's go first, we'll talk again when we have a chance. Quote. Li Yao waved his hand and walked deep into the hall on the first floor. Although he wanted to ask more about the school's tasks, Su Yi didn't have any dissatisfaction when Li Yao left for something. Others are not your father, so why not do something serious to help you? At least Li Yao saw himself standing here and asked if he wanted to hand in the task together. It can be seen from here. Although Li Yao's tone was arrogant, he was still warm-hearted. On the other side, Li Yao, who walked into the mission transfer room on the first floor, touched his chin and murmured. The strength of the soul power in that guy's body just now seems to be a bit high. It seems to have reached the second level of extraordinary. Tisk tisk. Just entering the school is the second level of extraordinary, and there are more and more geniuses in our school. Quote. Li Yao sighed. There is no shortage of geniuses in the magic capital Seoul Martial Arts University, but the total resources of the school are limited. If you want to get more resources, you must be stronger. This also led to more and more introversion among the Seoul martial arts students in the magic capital, and the competition became more intense. For example, he himself, being able to stay in the wilderness area for a month and complete 5 missions in a row is considered pretty good. But there is someone more perverted than him, who stayed in the wilderness for more than 3 months and completed 10 tasks in one go. I heard that the talented girl from the Zhu family who awakened an SS-level martial spirit is also enrolled in this class. At that time, within a year, the strength may surpass those of us old students. Quote. Li Yao rubbed his temples with some headaches. But it's okay. The students in the same class as her are even worse. I'm afraid they will always feel the horror of being dominated by the top martial arts. Li Yao was in a good mood. In another 3 years, he will graduate, and no matter what kind of genius he is, it will have nothing to do with him. He just needs to reach his goal before graduation. After hearing Li Yao's words, Su Yi didn't stay in the mission building any longer. Quickly returned to the bedroom on the second floor of the villa, sat down at the computer desk, and turned on the computer. With a soft beep, the computer starts up. This computer is equipped by the Seoul Martial Arts University in the magical capital, and it has a sense of technology. The keyboard is a virtual keyboard, and even the screen is made of special materials, which can be enlarged to a height of more than 2 meters. Almost like a projector. Su Yi tapped the keyboard proficiently, and soon entered the school's official website and downloaded the student system. This is a software with the emblem of the Demon City Seoul Martial Arts University as its icon. Double-click to open, and Su Yi found that she needs to verify her identity with her student ID card. Where to verify identity? Su Yi groped for a while before he found a rectangular depression next to the black computer mainframe. Put the student ID card on it, it just fits. The owner of the student ID is detected, Su Yi. Login point. Dormitory number 8, permission has been obtained successfully, and login is allowed. Accompanied by the crisp sound from the speaker next to it, a gorgeous software interface appeared on the computer screen. Announcements, forums, tasks, malls. Single quote. The software interface is divided into 4 sections. In addition to these 4 sections, the position in the upper right corner of the interface is the relevant information of Su Yi. Name: Su Yi. Class: 10,000 Beasts Academy, Class 1. Credits: 10. Number of tasks completed: 0. Number of tasks in progress: 0. Single quote. 10 basic credits. It seems that Senior Lu Jia is right. Su Yi's eyes flashed, and he clicked on the task section. As seen on the giant screen in the mission building, there are many missions on it. Moreover, there is an additional, accept, button. Don't rush to pick up the task, let's look at other sections first. Su Yi clicked to open the mall section, and the products with pictures and prices were neatly arranged on the screen. Equipment: Gale Series, F-grade alloy sword, 0.01 credits kilogram. Blood Shadow Series, F-grade alloy sword, 0.013 credits kilogram. Tianao Series, F-class battle suit, 10 credits set. Extreme Series, F-level battle suit, 13 credits set. Cheats: Highland Soul Energy Guidance Method, primary, 220 credits. Yin Yang Spiritual Guidance Method, primary, 212 credits. Elixir: Miscellaneous. These commodities are arranged very neatly, including equipment, cheats, pills, and sundries. 4 categories. There are many rare categories under each category. A set of Tianao series of F-level battle suits costs 10 credits, and the selling price outside is almost more than 100,000 Huasha coins. In other words, 1 credit is equivalent to 10,000 Washa coins. Quote. Su Yi rubbed her chin and murmured. For a soul fighter to venture into the wilderness, he needs 2 types of equipment, weapons and battle clothes. These 2 categories are sorted according to the grades of SSS, SS, S, A, B, C, D, E, and F. The higher the level, the sharper the weapon and the higher the defense of the suit. However, even the lowest F-rank battle suits cost at least 100,000 Washa coins. Every freshman will have 10 credits after enrollment, that is to say, the school directly gave each student 100,000 Washa coins. Su Yi was amazed. Seoul Martial Arts University, the capital city, enrolls thousands of students every year, which means that the annual subsidy for students is as high as 100 million. Really rich and powerful. 10 credits are only enough to buy a set of F-rank battle suits. If I want to enter the wilderness area, I'd better buy a better set of equipment. 5 days ago, shortly after signing the enrollment contract with Kai Wei, the 1 million enrollment fee had already been credited to his card. Now, he can be regarded as a small asset. That being the case, it is natural to buy better equipment. However, I don't have enough credits to buy good equipment. Can I make up for the remaining deficiency with Washa coins? Su Yi tried to find a window to exchange credits with Washa currency, but she couldn't find it. No way, can these equipment only be purchased with credits? That's too tasteless. Su Yi frowned, and suddenly glanced at the lower left corner of the mall. There was an option to switch the checkout method. Click this option with the mouse, and after the software is refreshed, the checkout method for most products will change to Washa currency. Only a few items still use credits as the unit of billing. Soul energy channeling, soul skills, and some rare potion sundries, all can only be purchased with credits. Su Yi was thoughtful. Judging from this situation, this credit may have uses that I don't understand. There are a lot of products in the mall, and it is estimated that it will take several hours to read them all. Therefore, after understanding the payment method of the product, he closed the mall section and opened the forum. 10 credits for the wilderness task. If there is a team, it requires extraordinary level 4 or above, and the rewards will be shared equally after the task is completed. Single quote. Private trading soul skills, contact if necessary. Single quote. Big news, the talented girl from the Zhu family is suspected of entering school today. Single quote. Comma. The forum is a board used by all students in the whole school to exchange information, and the information in it is complicated. Including posts about teaming up to do college tasks, posts about gossip, and posts about which teacher is the strongest. Even Su Yi saw a blind date post. The number of replies to this post has reached thousands. It seems that no matter which university you are in, it is natural to pursue the opposite sex. Seeing this, Su Yi smiled slightly. 6 years of college, the oldest age is only 24 years old. It's the time of youthful agitation, and soul fighters are stronger than common people, so it's not surprising that such a post appears. Suddenly, he saw a boutique post titled, "Must See for Freshmen." Perhaps because the freshman is about to enter school, this post is placed at the top position, so it can be easily seen by others. Exactly what I need. Su Yi's eyes lit up, and he quickly clicked in. After more than half an hour, Su Yi, who had read the entire post, leaned back on the seat. While relaxing himself, he was also lost in thought. Through this post, many of his doubts were answered. For example, the energy gathering tower mentioned by Kai Wei before. This tower is used to speed up the speed of students' practice. Cultivating inside, the efficiency of absorbing soul energy is much faster than usual. The higher the floor, the better the boost effect. In addition, the demon capital Seoul Martial Arts University also has places of practice such as gravity chambers and body-quenching pools. However, there are restrictions on the use of these practice places. Common students only have a few hours to use them a month. The special enrollment is only 1 or 2 hours longer than the common students. Of course, his treatment for this O1 sequence special enrollment is better, and he has 10 hours of usage time a month. However, if it exceeds 10 hours, if it is extended, he will also need to use credits to make purchases. Credits, in this magical capital, Seoul Martial Arts University, credits are very important. Su Yi's eyes were serious. In the post just now, he has already learned that whether it is high-end soul energy guidance method, advanced soul skills, or other cultivation resources, they can only be purchased through credits. When the Washa currency is here, there is basically no other use except for buying some commonly used equipment and elixir. And the end of this post also said that the 10 credits for freshmen are extremely valuable, far beyond what can be summed up by more than 100,000 Washa coins. Also, the freshmen are not strong enough. Without a semester or two, they can't accept the task at all, and there is no source of credits. How to make good use of these 10 credits is also the key to whether many freshmen can stand out. You don't need to use credits to buy equipment, you can buy it directly with Washa currency. Knowing the importance of credits, Suyi naturally did not dare to use credits so hastily. I am going to find some time and ask teacher Kai Wei how to use this credit to get the most benefit. In the forum, in addition to the must-reads for new students, there are also some high-quality posts such as, how to survive in the wilderness area, and, what preparations need to be made before entering the wilderness area. He is not going to let go of these contents. After all, this is the essence that has been summed up by many soul martial arts college students in the capital city for decades. If these contents are summed up and placed outside, I am afraid they can be sold for hundreds of thousands. Then let's watch it now. Suyi enlarged the screen to a size that would not strain her eyes, and then clicked on the posts one by one to start checking. The content of the high-quality posts is very rich, there is no nonsense, and it is full of dry goods. Even so, it took Suyi almost 4 hours to finish watching them all. Picking up the phone and checking the time, it was already 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, it is indeed a top-notch soul martial arts university, with many invisible benefits. Putting down the phone, Suyi stretched comfortably. After the study just now, he has a very detailed understanding of the preparations before entering the wilderness area and how to increase the survival rate as much as possible after entering the wilderness area. This is what common soul martial arts cannot do. Go and have a meal first, and then train when you come back. Suyi glanced at the sky outside. Although it was already 6 o'clock in the afternoon, the sky was still clear. However, the faint hunger in his stomach reminded him that he needed to replenish energy. It feels like I have entered the second level of extraordinary, and my appetite seems to be bigger. As he walked out, he thought. After entering the extraordinary stage, he has already discovered that common meat can no longer meet his daily energy consumption, and he will be hungry very quickly. Only beast meat can make him not feel hungry so quickly. Walking out of the dormitory, compared with noon, there are more people on the road of the dormitory in District 1. From time to time, you can see students walking on the road in 2s and 3s. But the number of people is not too many, there are only 7 or 8 people on the whole road. Hiss, what a luxurious villa. Yeah, before I came here, I never thought that the student dormitory would be a villa area. Hanwoo University, the capital city, is a top-notch university, and the supporting facilities are naturally top-notch. These freshmen looked around curiously, talking excitedly at the same time. Now only the special students have registered, and there are not many people in the dormitory area. When all the freshmen report and go out together, I'm afraid it will be more lively. Seeing this, Suyi couldn't help but sigh with emotion, and then quickly walked towards the cafeteria. Compared with the outside, the beast meat dishes in the cafeteria are much cheaper. But the price of a dish made of ferocious beast meat is nearly 700 or 800 Washa coins. And his appetite is much larger than that of the common soul fighters. After a meal, there is no 2,000 or 3,000, and there is basically no way to get it done. Fortunately, I still have an entrance bonus, otherwise I wouldn't even be able to afford food. Suyi, who walked out of the cafeteria, said with emotion. Most of the freshmen will go around the school after dinner, to familiarize themselves with the school while digesting. But he didn't think so. What is there to do in the school? Isn't there a map on the school's official website? Use this time for practice, isn't it delicious? Adhering to this concept, Suyi quickly returned to the dormitory. As soon as he entered the living room on the first floor, he saw Zhongyi slumped on the sofa, switching TV stations in boredom. Hey, are you back? Didn't you play with them for a while? Suyi greeted with a smile. With the two beauties, and Ling Shuang and Zhao Ruo, with Zhang Yi's character, she probably wouldn't have come back so early. Playing until 8 or 9 in the evening is in line with his character. What are you playing? It's meaningless at all. Zhang Yisheng on the sofa has nothing to love. This afternoon, he had been shopping with two girls, and the most asked questions were all about Su Yi. What does Su Yi like? Which school is Su Yi in high school? Wait, a series of questions. Most of them were Zhao Ruo asking questions. Although Ling Shuang didn't ask many questions, every time he answered the questions, he would show interest. How could he not understand that the two women already belonged to each other? So he felt bored and came back early. Thinking of this, he still felt a little sore in his heart. Obviously he is also quite handsome, although he is a little bit worse than Su Yi, but it's not that he can't even attract a girl. Zhang Yi glanced at Su Yi again. Well, it's a bit worse. What, are you not having fun? Shopping with two beauties is what many boys dream of. Su Yi sat on the sofa, opened a bag of potato chips, and ate. The cafeteria was too expensive, and he only ate until he was 70% full. Eat some snacks to replenish your energy, just right. Hee. Seeing Su Yi's ignorant appearance, Zhang Yi's heart suddenly rose again, and she couldn't help but bitterly said, Brother Su, I hate you. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe.